What's going on, Internet? The Black Hokage here, aka TB Asian. To be honest, I'd like to welcome you guys back to the Gaming Illuminati podcast. We are the Enlightened Gamers, and you're now tuned into episode 157. If you're watching the video version of the show at youtube.com/GI updates, be sure to know that we're also available on Apple, Spotify, and all other major podcast platforms. Rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. We need your 5-star rating to move up that algorithm and help bring in new listeners. Also, follow the podcast on social media. We drop daily content on our pages. We're available on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Our handle on every platform is at GI Updates. If you want to join our Discord, it's discord.gg/GI Updates. And if you're watching the video version, links to all of our social media platforms will be in the description box below at youtube.com/GI Updates. Now, allow me to introduce you to my co-hosts, the first of which can be found carrying that demonic soul edge sword. Well, it's like a bootleg looking version. That's what it looks like. Do you know what I'm talking about? From Soul Calibur?
I do know what you're referring to. Yes.
Yes.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Ethos be carrying when you're not playing Elden Ring. He's yapping about Samurai Zero. Ethos, say what up to the people.
Actually, I have not been yapping about Samurai Zero. I've been yapping about another game lately. But what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see that it's no longer a sausage fest.
According to the comment section. And my second co-host, he didn't feel good about that one. At least how his fight ended with Mesmer. So hopefully he feels good about this 25% he's about to contribute to the podcast. UTX Mimic Tear the Dawn, say what up to the people.
I guess it can't be 25%, right? Because you split it in 4. So yeah, 25%. That's what
if Ethos shows up.
I'm so happy. I don't have to contribute anymore. 33.
That is great. And last but certainly not least, we finally found our permanent 4th seat. We saw the feedback in the comments. You asked, so we made it happen. Ms. 5000 Watts, welcome to the show. She is officially the 4th official host of the show. Clap it up, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Girl.
What's the name? How you doing, Watts? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, I'm a little sad because I finished Elden Ring DLC. But I'm good. I'm good besides that. I just feel a little lost.
So it's real with the tweet that I saw that was trending, the thing. I saw something about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree Depression.
It's definitely real, especially if, as I explored everything, we fought every boss, we read all the lore, we talked about all the lore. So it was 10 days of us doing 8 hours a day. And now I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I've been pulling off long nights. That's how I know I enjoy it. And we're gonna get into more of that. But friendly reminder, all of my hosts, their social medias, including JG, Ethos, Watts, they're all in the description box below. Be sure to follow them on social media as well as their YouTube pages. And since Watts already started yapping about it, and we have a lady on the show, we're gentlemen here. Ladies first. We're going to talk Shadow of the Erdtree, the new DLC for Elden Ring. It's been reported that it has over 100 new weapons, 8 new fighting styles, 10 main bosses, over 40 side bosses. The map is half the size of the main game, but it's not far and wide. It's high and low. There's a lot of depth and height to it. Whole new storyline, whole new scaling system when it comes to your builds. It uses this new fragment system that you had to go collect these little shards, and that boosts your power and defense. And there's another shard, the Spirit of Ashes, which boosts your horse's health. I believe the fragments for the attack and defense.
And the summons.
Oh yeah, and there's
and
I think they're called the Skidoo fragments. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've been calling it blue Skidoos.
Well, so apparently, Skadoo is an old English word for shadow. So you actually just pronounce it shadow.
Okay. So there's nothing but
shadow tree. Yeah, shadow tree fragments.
Cool.
Makes sense.
So I gave kind of the breakdown on it. This has been 2 years in the making. It's a $40 piece of DLC. On average, I've seen people say they've gotten at least 30 hours out of it, but that's the people I think that are just trying to run through the main bosses. I would say, but then I've seen upwards of 120 hours. So I think it also depends on your skill level. Depends on if you explore or not. Ladies first, give us the good, bad, and the ugly on Shadow of the Erdtree, Watts.
So I finished on Saturday. I think it took me about 75 hours to do it. So that's my kind of playtime. And that is with me being blind on everything, wanting to collect as many weapons as I can. Definitely want to fight all the bosses, doing NPC quests, reading the lore, talking the lore with chat, of course. So that's been my time in there. And man, it's just so good. It's just so good. I think the art direction of Shadow of the Erdtree has impressed me even more than the base game. I think the art direction is incredible. And same with the music. I think there's been every boss was like a banger soundtrack. Whereas in the main game, there was definitely a few that stood out, but a lot of them I didn't remember as much as the DLC. I went in there with a rot dagger and a poison dagger, but I ended up leveling up like 11 different weapons and trying them out. So I've kind of been doing everything within what I could because I didn't want to fully change my build to a completely different thing. So it's all like arcane dex stuff. So if it was an arcane dex thing, I tried it.
That's good that you were like experimenting. Anything off the top of the head that you feel like you didn't enjoy with this DLC?
I think so. The only thing that I can think of, so I was playing on PS5 because when Elden Ring first came out, it did have some issues on PC. So I was like, I'm just gonna play on PS5 and not have to worry about it. But
wait, did you make a new build for this?
No.
Okay.
No, this is my OG character that I played with from the beginning.
You're a sweat.
Oh, okay.
She got 2 builds.
Dual platforming.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I have one character on PC, but she's not very far. She hasn't really done too much, but maybe she'll make it to the shadow eventually.
Okay, so PS5 was first, and then you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and right away with the lion boss, I was like, "Oh, there go my frames!" Every time he did an attack that was like, normally if it was a slam attack and there was dust coming up, I was like, "There goes frames." So there were certain parts where I was like, "I do not know what's happening. I just have to guess." And learn the fight well enough to where I don't need to see because it was really bad. So I think the only thing that I would say that I didn't enjoy as much is it felt like there were more bosses in the DLC that had a lot going on visually. Like there was a lot of kind of visual noise that made it a little harder to see in general. But if there's frame rate issues, it does exist. So that definitely made it a little tough. But that's really it. It just meant that I had to spend longer with the bosses because I had to really know what was going on because sometimes I couldn't see.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with it now that you bring that up. That would be like my only real complaint outside of the optimization. Like when I got to that section with Renala, that's the only part where like it was running really bad on my PC. When she would do like all the sparkles, like the frame
it's her
rate
flame, man.
Yeah.
I swear that specific flame, I don't know what is wrong with that flame because it's not blood flame, it's not red lit fire, it's like the Mesmer's flame. It just, I don't know what it does, but it tanks my PlayStation.
It was it was also too the move where she goes into the air and then she drops like 3 bombs on you.
Balloons?
Yeah, that damn near blew up my computer. So then like I was getting frustrated because I was watching her. I figured out I didn't actually think she was that hard. I figured out her pattern pretty quickly, but like I felt like I was fighting the game just as much as her, and that did frustrate me.
Yeah.
After I got past that part, the game's been running fine, but that part was really rough for me. And then I do agree with you, the visual, the clutter stuff.
It's a bit more cluttered. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mesmer fight, the only part that I found to be really hard is when he summoned the snakes at the very beginning. It was like I couldn't see and gauge it very well. So I felt like it was like I had to enter almost like the Matrix or something in just like a state of mind where like I was just predicting what he was doing. But other than that, I do kind of understand where the reviews are coming, where people were saying that like it feels almost like Elden Ring 1.5, almost like a new game. Because I do think I have like at least 40, 50 hours already, and I'm not even done with it. And I feel like I still have so much to explore. And like I've seen people bringing up in conversation. I'm curious to get some of y'all thoughts on this. Like, do you think it's possible that this? Because I don't even think this is DLC. I feel like it should be called an expansion. Does it qualify to be in the conversation for Game of the Year? What do you think, Ethos?
Yeah, for the GI Awards, it will be nominated.
This motherfucker, right?
I will make sure it's nominated. I do not care. I think if a DLC, I kind of feel the same way about Cyberpunk's DLC. I feel like if you do enough, and enough of the game has changed, and it doesn't feel like just like a simple like just update to the content, but the game has evolved because of the thing you've added to it, then and it feels like a newer game, then I'm willing to. Me personally, I'm willing to give it that nomination, or me personally, I'm willing to say, yeah, this might be my favorite game this year. Do I think it's going to be my game of the year for this year? I don't know yet. Do I think that, from a mainstream media standpoint, it will be game of the year? I'm pretty sure a lot of outlets probably won't follow that measure. So I would be shocked if that is the case, if people do make special exceptions. But I think it is definitely without a doubt like one of the best pieces of just video game content we've gotten this year. I think it's easily in the top 3, no doubt.
Go into detail. What did you like about it? What did you dislike?
What was there that I didn't like about it? I liked the Man, I liked everything. I like the difficulty. I love the art direction. I think Elden Ring once again proves that graphics aren't everything. The game sometimes can look kind of like an older like PS4 or Xbox One game, but it's just they have such a remarkable art director. I don't know who their art director is, but whoever is directing their art department is killing it. Yeah. Their direction on how they handle the different areas, how it all seamlessly transforms. Like you'll be in one area where it's like when you're in the place where Mesmer is, and then you end up, once you beat him, you go into this place where it's like now it's like green and it's all luscious, and you're like, whoa, like where did this come from?
When I first made it to the Cerulean area, I was like, ooh, with all the blue flowers.
Like, yeah, everything's all different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's like destructive beauty, where it's like it has this horror element to it, but at the same time it's still beautiful, which is weird. It's like these two are clashing with each other when you're visually seeing, but it still looks like really engaging, though, like and nice to the eye. I like all the weapons. Oh my god, all the new weapon additions. I think all the DLC, all of them are really cool. I don't really think there's anything that I've seen like either people showing on Twitter or something like that where I was like, oh, that looks stupid. All of it looks okay. Well, hold on, one of them is cool, but it's definitely cheesy.
That chicken wing?
No, I love the chicken wing. The chicken wing is hilarious.
Oh, you love the chicken wing? Are you using a chicken wing?
No, I'm not using it anymore. I was using it, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it was as buzz. I didn't know people were running. I didn't see until someone showed me the thing with the final boss where they just kept slamming him and killing him, and like I was like, what the heck? I saw the perfume thing. That's where I was like, yo, that one is kind of bull.
That one is crazy.
That one is crazy. That one where like he can't even respond to you. You're just throwing lightning at his feet and he just dies.
And then the thorns. The thorns.
I haven't seen. I saw a video of the thorn magic, and I was looking at it. I was like, maybe I'll try this, but then I was like, I gotta get a staff, and I was like, I'm not doing all this magic. I have kind of similar to Watts, but my build's a little bit different. I went more strength and arcane, so I have like a strength arcane. I went into the DLC severely underleveled. I didn't touch the game for 2 years. I didn't practice before the DLC came out. That was a big mistake. I agree with Watts. We were talking about this before. I got a migraine on, what's her name? The twin moon girl. I said some not favorable things about her. Yeah, Renala made me lose my mind. I hated her with a passion. I will admit it. I had a migraine. It did not become fun for me anymore. And I pulled out my boy. I pulled out the mimic. I pulled out the NPC. I was like, bro, I can't do this anymore. Like my brain was literally like hurting.
At what point did you start collecting the fragments? Because I had somebody in my Twitch chat.
That was the mistake I made.
So like I learned from him that your base level really doesn't matter in the DLC outside of that opening area. But once you get to the part where you have to make the decision, you want to go to the lion or you want to go to the Moon Knight. That's when like your level, the fragments come in. But that little opening section, that's the only place, because he said he was level 109 and he beat the game with the 20 he was doing crazy damage, he said.
Yeah, here's the crazy part. I was like 132, I think, when I beat the game. So I was like under a lot of where I think like I saw a lot of people when they finished it, they were like near the 180 area or even touching 200 or plus. I didn't reach that.
Yeah, I was like 170, I think, at the end of base Elden Ring.
Yeah, I didn't realize how underleveled I was until people were comparing builds, and I was like, how the hell are you guys 170? They're like, we were just out here playing more grinding and shit. And I was like, oh, I was
exploring.
Yeah, I made a big mistake. I learned from those mistakes in the DLC because your boy went to the farm and said, oh, okay, we got to catch up real quick because I went into the DLC under 60 vigor, and I had 3 friends tell me, you're going to die.
Oh, yeah,
you're
you had
going
to have 60.
I'm not even joking you. I went off to the lion first. Everything he threw at me would 2-shot me. Even when I got some of the fragments, everything he threw at me, if I got hit with it twice, I was dead. So I had to put Old Faithful shield out. That was the only way I could survive the lion. I beat the lion. And then I went over to the twin moon girl. I just ran up on her, and she was the first like hard block for me where I was actively like I hated her more than Melania. I still think I hated her more than Melania.
She has some Melania moves too.
It was like they picked Melania and they gave her magic, and they let her swerve on you every like. I feel like all the bosses in this DLC feel like they're just, hey, Melania is the base, like that is the standard. Every boss has to be.
He did say that in the interview before it came out, though. He said that all the bosses will be on that level, if not harder.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're all just fast, right?
They're just all stupid fast.
They're all very fast. You know what's really funny is you get a weapon and you're like, I really like the Ash of War on this, and then you're like, guess I'll never use it.
I'll never use it. I got the edgy meteor sword, and let's be honest, it's cool as hell. It's the Black Flash from JJK. I know damn well I'm not gonna land one of these things. I tried it. Look, I went up and did the whole Bale side quest thing with the big dragon. I lost my mind. I could not land
That fight
that
looks
thing
like
on
a
any
bitch.
of
I
the
haven't gotten to that one yet. It does look like
Bro.
a bitch.
It was, bro, that's the only one. I'm telling you straight up. I don't care what nobody says. You have to summon the NPC for that. It is the
You do.
funniest thing ever.
You should.
Igor is the coolest. Like he's like, I think it's Igor, right? Or
Egon?
Yeah, Egon. Yeah, Egon.
Yeah.
He's the coolest NPC I think they've ever made. That man got Kendrick Lamar levels of hatred for that man Bale. I
do
loved every second of that
recommend
quest.
like
Yeah.
even if you don't want to like beat a boss with a summon, just if there is a story summon, just summon them in to see what voice lines they have if you care about like lore and story and that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a perfect example of like
There's a couple of
he's
them where I feel
amazing.
like
there's a couple. Yeah.
I missed out on the Mesmer thing where you could have summoned the dude who wanted to get his get back.
Yeah, that's the dude who got his get back for real
Yeah.
on my playthrough.
And-
That's
and
what I was-
Egon
I'm
has
glad
the
we're
same
talking
thing.
about summons. Yeah.
Egon has the same thing, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool!" Like, I like how like the NPCs you summon, like they got beef with a lot of these bosses. They're like, "I'll pull up with you because I don't like them either. We could beat their ass together. Let's go." So you walk in there with your boy, and like, "Hey, maybe I'll summon my mimic too. We could do some JJK jumping. We could just jump them." I like that. I think that compared to the base game, where the summons kind of felt like they're just a tool that you kind of use to help you, like at certain
They
points.
had
where you
motive
just
in the DLC.
crutch. There's actual story motive behind them. It's not just what people might say, oh, you're just using this as a crutch. You're using it to like easy mode and help you. Like there's genuinely a story and there's actual character development that they go through when you help them overcome the trial that they need help overcoming. And you get like a bond with them. Like I forgot his name. Blanking on their names. What's the name of maybe you know what? What's his
Describe
Morg's, Morg's homie.
Ansbach. Sir
Yes,
Ansbach.
Ansbach. That boy is cold.
He is.
He has some really good dialogue. I really liked him a lot. Someone
love
spoiled a little bit in the future what some of the cool stuff he does, but he's really cool. I do like his character arc with Mog, and when he finds out that you killed Mog, his little talk with you about it is actually really really nice.
I liked him so
yeah.
much. I'm currently doing New Game Plus on the same character, and I'm doing Madame Ansbach playthrough. I'm using
It's like
his
his
armor,
style.
weapon, like all of it. He's in all
Yeah,
of it.
he's really cool.
I love him.
I like them all. I think they're all really good. I think compared
They are
to
great.
the base game, because I think the only NPCs I thought was like Ronnie was really memorable. Who else was there?
I liked Millicent. Her
Millicent
story
was cool.
Was cool.
Yeah, she was cool. Melania's story, Radon. I mean, like their stories have always been good. and
Alexander,
cool.
obviously.
Yeah. Oh, Alexander. Which now pots are.
The pots are. I mean, we can talk about lore, but the pots are different. They
Yeah,
are
I
different.
can't. I think I just accidentally committed genocide.
God bless their
without
hearts.
realizing it. My bad. I did not know. I'm sorry.
The Realm of Shadow jars are a whole other
Aren't
really.
there babies
terrible
involved? I think
things.
I saw some stuff where I was like, I think
They
there's
chop
babies?
up alive people and put them in jars.
Yeah.
That's what
Whereas
Alexander
in-
was doing. So
Well, he was doing it with like dead people. He was finding
Yeah.
warriors, and then like when they're dead, putting them inside of
yeah,
him. But
But
this
they
is
wanna
be
like
strong, and I want to be the strongest warrior. That I want to fight you.
the
No, there might
shadow
be some people that
jars.
haven't played it. Y'all out here spoiling every
Now
guy.
we're talking about base game. Well, that's Alexander's
Yeah.
base game. Alexander's base.
You find about Alexander, yeah.
Yeah.
What he was doing in basically why he's so big
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
What's the name?
Right during the festival, you see him like nomming
Yeah,
away over there.
Yeah. Alexander
I
is
didn't
cool.
understand. I didn't understand at first what the hell he was doing until he explained it.
You get a
He's
really
like,
good
"Oh,
ash from him.
You want to grab some bodies and take some with you, dude? Make you strong.
I was just real sad when he died.
Freaking
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did I just say? Even
Come on,
if
man,
it's
it's a
been
base game.
No, but hold on. Ethos. They're doing so. For those of you unaware, if you're interested in Elden Ring, now's the best time. At least on Steam, I don't know on console. You can get the DLC
That's
and the
true.
base game for $80. So you're getting the game for basically an extra $10 and the DLC for 80. So
Like
they're
easy 200 plus hours.
yeah, you're
The game
gonna
been out 2
new
years.
people
Your fault.
on it.
You're gonna get lost in it, but yeah.
2 years. You had 2 years.
Freaking the new fragment system, like I was like whatever about it. I just thought it was something to do. I didn't really think it mattered that much until the first boss I actually fought was the Moon Knight. And like
Oh,
I
nice.
I saw that big, I don't know, context clues. I saw that big door once you got to the crossway. I was like, oh, the lion's that way. Like, I could just tell. Or I knew at least there's a boss going that way. So I was like, I'm going the opposite direction because I want to explore and see what the game has to offer.
That's exactly what I do. I'm
You
like,
ran
you want me to
into
go that
another
way? I'm
terror.
going
It's
this
okay.
way.
Because
So-
if you want to continue, you have to run into at least one of them. The lion, you're going to get stuck. So the other way, that's how you get to continue anyway. So you have to
The
run into
lion
that
optional?
roadblock.
No, I think
No.
you have to do it
to
because
do
there's a letter at the top that I
The
think you need.
Moon Knight Renala is optional, actually. You can go around and you don't have to go through.
I ran into
Yeah.
her by accident.
You can go around.
first,
I mean,
and
it's harder to find your way around without fighting her, but yeah, you can just go around her.
I thought I felt like I was doing good in that fight, but like I was stuck on her for like 2 hours, and I was like getting frustrated because I was just tickling her, and I'm like, yo, I'm like level 200, I'm not doing anything, and then somebody in my chat had said that he was like, I'm not even gonna lie, he's like, you actually really got her pattern down really well. It's kind of like a mental what's the word? You're getting mentally tired because the fight is going on too long. He was like, bro, just go collect fragments. He's like, I did it. He's like, trust me. I don't know what it was. Like, normally the chat be trolling me, but I was like, for some reason, I felt like he was being genuine. So I was like, fuck it. Let me stop being hard-headed. I left her and I just went and explored. I came back like level 6. I washed her on the first try. I was like, oh. I was like, so your level
told me that.
Your level
It
does
makes a
not
huge
matter in the
difference.
DLC.
So TBH actually listens to the chat. I'm
shocked.
The one time
yeah,
they
right.
actually tried to help me. The
Right.
one
You're
time,
right.
bruh.
This man was hard-headed the whole base game, but now in
Yeah.
the DLC, now he wants to listen. All right.
Yeah, and I did the opposite. I was stubborn the entire first trying to fight her, and I was like, no, I'm gonna beat her. And that was no. I could have
used
beat her. I
to,
wish I could go back and beat her now.
JG,
Yeah,
give me.
that's the thing. I want to fight him again. All the
Yeah,
bosses.
I want
are
to
so
beat her. I
freaking
want
cool, man.
specifically. I want to beat her up with the ones now because now I'm like, I know I could beat you. I just didn't have fragments. I know I could whoop you now. You can't two-shot me now.
Let me hear
No more
the
need
good
to
and the
shot.
bad, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, y'all pretty much covered a lot of the good and the bad. Like my concern is always going to be the camera. The camera is always going to kick your ass.
Camera sucks. It still
Yeah.
sucks. The
Yeah,
Bale
it's-
fight. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I
nothing
couldn't
to
track
change.
this big ass dragon. It's
Nothing
still
has
ass.
changed with the camera at all. And then the optimization. One thing though for all you PC folks, because I ended up getting help in my chat. Shout out to Ibizu.
Wait, JG.
Told me.
Did you turn off ray tracing?
Yes, I did.
I did too.
Afterwards. I was already like, I was more than 3 hours in until I was like, yo, this game is running like absolute dog crap. What the hell is going on? And then the Ibizu was like, yo, just turn ray tracing off. I said, I never turned it on. And then I found out during the patch that it ended up turning on. I was saying, son of a, like, why? Why would you turn that on? And as soon as I turned it off, it started, and I was like, yo, I'm getting 60 frames now. What the hell is going on? And I'm like, I have a 3090. This shouldn't be a problem, right? So I don't know what happened. Like, I'm still getting like stutters. And apparently I heard that it was because of your mouse. I don't know what your mouse is doing, but they like the actual dev said that might be one of the reasons why.
You have
like,
mouse
still get those
acceleration on?
stutters. Nah, I don't think so. And I don't use my mouse at all. I use a controller. So I don't know why. But apparently the mouse is still somehow, some way, like on the PC version for consoles, it doesn't matter. But for the PC version, apparently your mouse is still doing something. Now sometimes I do
It
like
is.
move
Yeah, it is.
away, yeah, and it apparently that's why it causes those stutters. So that still happens, but it's few and far in between now. Because when I have ray tracing on, it happened a lot. Literally, as soon as I went through the Shadow Keep in the base game in Mog's Sanctuary or whatever, as soon as I ran up, my shit was like running at like 2 frames. It was a slideshow,
Jesus.
so it was bad. Like I ended up, just sticking through it, but it was really bad. And I was like, man, do I really want to continue playing this game? I know it's amazing, but like playing it in this state is really bad. So turn ray tracing off because it got turned on by default. And if you were still having problems, I believe the patch fixed it. But just check anyways if you're still having issues if you're on the PC. But as far as the good, just adding to it, I remember the base game like having a lot of underground areas. And, there were some sections that were vertical going up and going down, mostly going down. But this DLC is really vertical. Like they weren't lying, the people who got to preview the game. You can literally just see different, I want to call them like biomes in the distance. Like as soon as you start the game, you're like, how do I get there? Because obviously you can't jump down. There are no rocks there. So like the game literally just like forces you to like find a secret hidden passageway in order to get to that area. And it's a lot of it is vertical. Like a lot is going down in order to reach those certain areas. So like just seeing that art direction and how they made this DLC is pretty amazing to me. That's one of my favorite things that I just wanted to point out. And you all just mentioned just the art direction period. Like these different areas are just simply amazing. And like you, I feel like you explained it perfectly, Ethos. Like it's beautiful. You get to look at all the views, get to look at all the different areas, and then you'll just meet a freaking monstrosity. If you move up a little bit, you're like, what the hell is that? Like, what is it going to do to me? Like, I feel like a lot of these new enemies, what the hell can that enemy do? So it's definitely scary a lot of times, just running into essentially the unknown because you're all playing blind. So that's the fun thing. I feel like I am back in 2021, 2022. Playing the base game of Elden Ring with the DLC. Like you all mentioned, it doesn't really feel like a DLC. It feels like a full-on expansion. And you know, just everything they did with it, even the new weapons, like you mentioned as well, Ethos. None of the weapons really seem like they're crap. A lot of these weapons do have some viability, and it does force you to experiment more. Like if you're still using base weapons, if you went through all of that and you're still using base weapons, you're not even playing the game at this point. Like explore some different stuff, because these DLC weapons are good, and
They're
some of them
so
are
fun.
very broken.
Even
some of them are very broken.
even the first one you should probably find, which is the beast claws. Maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn y'all found it, right? The beast claws in the floors.
I actually did not.
All right, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and give a minor spoiler then. Like, I felt like it was a reference to X-Men. Like the way you find them, there's a dude in the forest. I thought it was some Weapon X shit. Like I thought it was a Logan reference. Like when he's like in his little beast kind of wild form, there's a dude in the forest that you'll just find running around and you gotta fade him. I thought that was pretty cool. Like the way he comes at you.
There's a bunch of references actually. Feel like I've seen them from like a Yoda reference. I think was in there as well.
The Starline sword, I think.
Yeah, and just when you fight him, oh my god!
Yo, when I pulled up on him, I was like, I walked through the boss room, right? Yeah. And I'm like expecting some dragon at the bottom of this thing. This little dude is running around. I'm like, hey, so I start running at him. He flips to the. I'm like, whoa! I started like panic rolling.
He took me by surprise, man. He disappears, comes back. He's flipping everywhere. I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, okay.
First dude I ran into was that knight that everybody was complaining about, because that's when I haven't found him. Out.
I missed him.
He's literally on the very left of the beginning. You can't miss him, dog.
Okay. All right, but anyway, this knight, bro, he was literally like, so
many people with the crossbow.
The one with the crazy poise, the Gold Knight, I think his name is.
That's exactly what I was about to mention. As soon as everybody was like with like the biggest hammers, like the real tanky strength folks, you could not break him down at all. And people were like, holy fuck, like what is happening here? And a lot of those enemies in this DLC are the exact same way. You cannot break them.
They are.
And it's crazy. They're like, no, all of that cheesy stuff that y'all did in the base game, that ain't flying here. You got to find something else. And again, like they're really trying to force you to experiment with new things and stop trying, the same stuff, the same broken stuff that you were doing in the base game. So that's what I really enjoyed. Like the Smith script weapons, like who would have thought that they would have a freaking great hammer that you can toss at people? Like
the Thor hammer.
That stuff is insane, bro. Like it's just like the uniqueness of some of these new weapon types are really amazing. So like just experiment out there, because it's so many different things. Like I feel like I'm gonna switch up again, but I was using the twin axes that the death lightning dude gave you. So I was doing a little lightning thing there. And now I'm messing with the fire greatsword that shit hits. So now I'm doing a little flame build, but I'm doing strength and faith mostly. So it's fun, man, and definitely just experiment and look out for everything, because it's a lot of different incantations. Like it's pretty much like whatever build that you choose, it's something there for you that's unique and different. So just try it out. I love it, man, and I'm still running through it. I haven't got into the next boss. I think I beat Renala and Mesmer and the Lion as far as the main bosses, but I haven't seen or done half of the stuff that y'all have done in the game yet. I'm still exploring.
I 100% agree with y'all when it comes to like the weather stuff. Like you are not playing, not the weather, the weapon stuff. If you're not experimenting with your build, like you don't got to do it right away, but when you find something that interests you, like definitely change your build out, because you're not experiencing the DLC fully. A lot of these weapons change the way that the game plays. Like I found the other night, it's like a boxing, so like you put rocks on your hand. I found it in like some fire area. It puts rocks on your hand. I called it the Ben Grimm weapon, because basically he punches, like it's like a Mike Tyson mode. That shit was fire. I was like, damn, I might have to respec and try this joint out. But then I found the Great Katana 2 in like this lake. So I switched to a big BBC blade. Because I was also getting some Moonveil accusations against me. I was carried by the Moonveil. So I said, I'm going to prove a point. So I switched to a big-ass sword.
It took him a long time.
No. You guys didn't watch me play Liza P. It's okay.
The Moonveil took you to hell, buddy.
They took them all the way to hell and back.
No. If you would have saw what I did, I'm 6. Hey, I'm sorry you had to come on the show, watch during this time, but I'm pushing a Zinda. I am $6 tier after what I did to Mesmer the other night with that BBC blade, boy. It took me like an hour to beat Mesmer. I downloaded him real quick, boy.
I hopped on. I'm not gonna lie. I laughed where like you almost killed him in the first 15 minutes,
I was
and then
watching
you just proceeded to like start getting triggered. And
I was getting impatient. So here's what happened. So
I was talking to my friend. I was like, bro, all you have to do is just stop, relax.
So here's what happened. When I switched to the Great Katana, those blades, they do so much damage, and the bleed you get on them is insane. But what happened is I feel like I became more impatient because I'd be ready to try to end the fucking fight. So, and you have to pick your shots because it's so damn slow. Yeah. So like once I slowed down, I eventually did beat him. But yeah, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. Like being able to customize it. I will say it's really funny. Like how quickly the community will switch up on you, because people were accusing me of having like, not anybody on here, but like people in the chat were accusing me, oh, you got a YouTube build, you're cheese and all this. I sat on stream, I went through my menu and picked the weapon I was interested in. I sat there and redid all my stats, and people in the chat was like, oh, that shit trash, you're gonna get washed. Moonveil carried, all this other shit. Then I washed Mesmer. Hey, what people in the chat, what weapon is that? But nah, stay over there. So I think that speaks volumes to how cool it is and how like you can customize. I think that's one of my favorite things about Elden Ring. There's no correct way to play the game. If you like something, go for it, because what happens, I feel like with a lot of people, is they project their weaknesses onto you. Like, no, you can't time it with that weapon. That doesn't mean I can. Like, I knew I could play with a slowed weapon because I beat Liza P with that Puppet Ripper, which was like the slowest weapon in the damn game, as well as I beat Jedi Survivor with the damn heavy blade. So I was like, I'm gonna try a slower joint. Yeah.
I found some poison. They're just hands. They're in like the first area. I just found these hands, and they're the poison gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, dude. So I really wanted to use them the whole time, but they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're pretty bad. Like, I built around it. You know, I have like 60 arcane. I've got 70 dex. I have the perfect build for it. And I was using all of the right talismans. I was like, man, this is doing no damage. But they're really cool. I used them for a while. I used double whips for a while. I think there's only one new whip in the game.
I don't know how I feel about that weapon. I saw you using it on. I was like, watch out. Poison whip. For context, for people who have not played the DLC, there's a weapon in the game. It's literally a whip, and I was like, this slave master shit. I was like, oh
no. The lore on it's pretty bad.
Is it snake?
No,
or the skin one, right?
It's
like
made from teeth.
Yeah, I remember.
It's made from rotten teeth. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the thing that really sucks though is that the Ash of War on that thing is that it's supposed to make their stamina regen slower. I'm like, these bosses don't have stamina. They're running like a 200 endurance build. They don't know what stamina is.
Renala never stopped.
No, they never stop. And even if you use that, like, it doesn't help you at all. So maybe it's like a PvP thing, you know?
Yeah, there are some. I believe there are some weapons and builds that are strictly for PvP. It's not for anything PvE related.
I was like, this is doing nothing.
Oh yeah.
Go back to what
if it had
said,
poison or rot, I'll give it a try if it was poison or rot, because that's my whole thing.
Going back to what TVA said, it sounds like somebody needs to hear that, and he's been raging a lot lately. Siggy.
Oh wait! I haven't been watching him. What has he been raging about?
Let me tell you something. Hold on, real quick about this. It is crazy the 180 I have seen. I have witnessed where everybody was of one mindset before this drop, and then the thing drops, and then people got humbled very quick. I'm just saying, I saw certain people that were in certain people's chats that were saying this and that, and then they
ain't talking to me. I ain't been humbled. I have yet to be humbled.
And they were like, you know what? Maybe this shit was rough. Maybe it wasn't as easy as I thought it was. I think this is hard. I think this is probably the hardest thing that's what I was going to
get into. So like, for those who haven't been keeping up with the news, It's been out 2 weeks now. The first week that it was out, it was getting review bombed on Steam. It had mostly negative reviews. And the reason being is people were complaining that it's too hard. So then what happened is Miyazaki and the group, they ended up buffing the fragments so that, you'll become stronger, even stronger already. But my theory is, I think the reason people thought it was too hard is because they were just trying to speed rush the bosses when the game wanted to explore it. Like, people were complaining before they ever even got the fragments because they wanted to be, the thing about like the From Software community, like it's like they're trying to flex their EP-ness. They want to be the first to beat a boss, so they have the strats and the best build and stuff like that. But like they were trying to, kind of like what JG was saying, like the game was like, you have to experiment. You can't keep doing the same cheese that you were doing in the base game. And they were trying to bang their head against that wall, but they broke down, they buffed the fragments, and now people have stopped complaining, and the reviews are mostly positive again. So, but I wanted to get into, did you any point, Watts, did you feel like the game was cheating you, like it was too hard?
I never felt like it was too hard. What I did, so talking about that knight that everyone runs into, and everyone's like, he's the tree sentinel, stay away from him, don't do it right away. He would one-shot me with some moves and two-shot me with everything that he did. So, and then right when you go into the DLC, there's those birds. Those birds.
Bro.
And the
Birds
birds
the entire time.
never
Beat
stop
the
attacking.
shit out of you.
So you walk in the DLC, you're getting beat up by a bird. You go to your first boss, you're getting beat up. You're getting beat up everywhere. So right out the gate, it definitely is like, whoa, okay, this is different. I have to play a little bit differently. But for me, it was more so like a switching my mindset, right? Because towards the end of Elden Ring, if you had been exploring and doing all of that stuff, naturally you would just have a pretty easy time at the end of the game. I don't think there was like anything towards the end that was difficult at all that took more like 2 or 3 tries. So going into the DLC, it was like, I have to just approach it like I'm playing, a new Souls game, or I'm playing a DLC in a Souls game, which does tend to be more difficult because it tends to be created for the people who obviously want to play more of that game. So it was just like a mindset switch, and really just the fragments make such a huge difference. And it really is, it's like, if you don't do the fragments, it's like you're not leveling up. It's like you're doing a level 1 run. So that's really what it is. And I think when I hit like 10 fragments, that's when things started to feel pretty chill again until the end of the game, which I won't talk about because the end boss is very difficult. Very, very difficult, and has a lot of visual noise going on, which makes it tough. But yeah, I don't think it was too difficult. I don't think it was in a spot that I wanted it to be, right? I didn't want to go into the Elden Ring DLC being able to do what I did in the base game because I felt towards the end of the base game that it was easy. I made a build that was gonna struggle. It was a fine build, but it wasn't like a great build. So it was just, I wouldn't want to go into the DLC and destroy everything like I was doing before. I wanted to kind of go back to zero, right? And have to be there with bosses and learn them. Because for me, I know there's different mindsets with Souls games, but for me, the thing that I really like is learning the boss, and the enjoyment comes from the journey more than just beating it. If I beat it in one try, it's like, well, I probably didn't see half of their moves. I probably don't even know how to dodge like most of their stuff. I probably got lucky more than anything. So I want to learn everything and then beat them knowing that I have learned how to deal with all of their kit. So this was great for me. Don't think it's too hard. I think people were just jumping the gun and not explore. People were saying this like 3 days into it, 2 days, 1 day into it.
They sounded like the 2K community, just trying to get everything patched.
It was so fast, man. It was so fast. And now, even if this patch hadn't come out, you would have found the thorn spell that's like one-shotting bosses. You would have found the lightning perfume thing. You would have found like the chicken leg wing, whatever it is. You would have found all of these things, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, so I have these options available to me if I'm struggling. They probably didn't need to do anything. But I do think that the update they did was a good idea because they didn't nerf any bosses directly. They just made the fragments more impactful early on, and then it kind of like levels out, and then right at the end, it's a little bit more of a buff than what it was before. So you can choose to not buy into that system at all if you don't want to. But if you do want to, those early fragments are going to help you out. So hopefully it just helps people who are maybe playing Elden Ring a bit more casually. I mean, the game sold 25 million. There's a lot of people who are not like Souls gamers who played Elden Ring and loved it. So getting those fragments, you get like 3 or 4 fragments under your belt. It's probably going to feel a lot more manageable for those guys.
25 million, and then it's been reported the other day 5 million for the DLC.
Yeah.
So the add-on to you, I agree. I don't think it's too hard. There's only one section where I was genuinely frustrated, and it was the boss fight against Commander Geyser, the one that was on the board.
Yeah, everyone hates him.
That was the only one that I felt like I got stuck. And it was he wasn't even hard. I would not be mad if they patched that. And the reason I died like 4 or 5 times, his little back kick that he does on the board, I was to the side of him and he killed me. I'm like, yeah. I was like, that's bullshit. I was like, yeah.
He turns to kick you.
They turn like his whole.
No. He did not turn. He did not turn. The hitbox is completely fucked on that kick.
It's like the thighs themselves count as like a hit.
Yeah, that was bullshit. I felt like
shit.
I was getting cheated on that. That's the only one I would say where I got stuck for like 3 or 4 hours. But other than that, I don't think it's that hard. It's just like a mindset. I found an armor that increases your damage, but it gives you more damage. And then I also have a talisman that does the same thing. So I put both of those on. That's the reason I'm hitting so damn hard. And people are like, that build is trash. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if I don't get hit, so that I just run it really fast.
Which you can't in the DLC anyway.
Shit doesn't matter. I'm going to try it out. It worked for me. So I think it's a mindset thing. You got to experiment with your build. You can't cheese like JG said. And I think also to kind of add to what you said, Watts, another issue is I don't even think it's the From Software fans that was complaining. I think what happened is Elden Ring is the first game that really crossed over, because I don't care what nobody says. Dark Souls, I think Sekiro like walked and then Elden Ring started flying. But there are other games, like they were more niche, the very hardcore audience, and Elden Ring crossed over, and there's a lot of new players, even in the DLC, that just didn't want to adapt. And then on top of that, Miyazaki said that you needed to be, the bosses were going to be on the level of all Millennia, and only 30% of the player base beat Millennia. That was not an optional boss, it was a skill check. So then I'm going to have to ask, why did you come to the DLC if you couldn't beat the full base game, basically? So like, I think FOMO, I think a lot of people they were ill prepared. They just we're gonna play it. Like, nah, this joint was gonna be hard. You had to be your fundamentals had to be strong.
Attention.
Your fundamentals had to be strong. But overall, like, I think it's great. I wouldn't be mad if it gets nominated for Game of the Year, but I also will understand if people want to argue against it because it's still like technically right. But it's so much content. It's so much content. If you can
nominate Resident Evil 6, or if you can nominate Resident Evil Remake, let's say we can put Elden Ring on there.
Final Fantasy Remake.
You put Final Fantasy 7 Remake on there. We can put Elden Ring. They do that, we can allow
this. They should have just called it Elden Ring 2, but it carries over all your stuff.
Yeah. So I didn't agree with the review bombing, but I'm glad people went back and changed their answer. Like, which sucks for the developers too, because like you got to sit there and like eat that shit, and you're like sitting there thinking like, oh, did we do something wrong? Just for them to switch that.
They didn't deserve it, man. The game is so good. They didn't deserve it.
They didn't read, and again, they were just stubborn.
Yeah. Other Elden Ring stuff, I don't know if y'all saw, but Miyazaki did an interview leading up to the release of the game. He did a bunch of them. But one of the things that went viral, one of his quotes was he was talking about how he sucks at his own games and like games in general. And he says he utilizes every tool in the game in order to beat it. So he's pro summons, magic, whatever. He said there's tools in the game, and basically if it's there, it's cool to use it, because he's like, I'm not good either. And I know this excited JG because he cheated during the Mesmer fight when he summoned that Mimic tier. So I wanted to get your quota, because the original, I don't know if you remember Ethos, the original argument is, I've always said, if you use that stuff in the game, that's fine with me. You paid $70, it's your money.
It's not if you're my friend, no, bully.
No. You just never said that. Hold on, let me finish, because I'm going to push my Mickey agenda. My stance has always been, if you use summons and Mimic tiers, it's cool. You pay for the game. You just can't sit at the champions table. Don't come over here. And you weren't in the playoffs, okay? You played a different game, and I'm going to respect that, but don't come over here and act like you ran a 1v1 fade. That's all I always ever said, okay?
Okay.
And people in the group chat was like, yeah, if you use Mimic Tears, you're Mickey. You use Summons, you're Mickey. So we all agreed, although Siggy kept moving the goalpost. That's always my stance. Siggy was all over the goddamn place. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. People was talking
Elden
shit.
Ring turned him into a monster is what happened.
What happened?
all the Souls games.
He created the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. He is the original person who came up with that phrase.
But Elden Ring was his first Souls game. Watts, he became
an elitist.
This man
he hated it when he first started playing it. Said, "No way, this is better than Zelda. No way." He refused.
And at the end of the game, this man probably put in more hours than all of us.
And then went back to play 3 more of them.
Yeah,
I think he's playing more Souls games than me at this point.
And I bullied him to play Sekiro again because he tried that. Him and Flock tried that, and they both got off the game. They didn't like it. I ended up sticking through it, and then it's still even though Elden Ring is amazing, Sekiro is still by far my favorite.
Sekiro's amazing.
But
but to respond to TV,
I didn't even finish because y'all interrupted me. I was gonna say, so like we all were kind of on that page. Besides Siggy, he was kind of like, and then people started breaking down. They started using summonings. I mean, this is too hard or whatever. I didn't make fun of nobody. But then JG said I was Moonveil carried, and then I saw him use the summon on the mimic. And you know what's crazy? You used the mimic, that's fine. But it was the fact you didn't even jump him. The mimic tier won the fight for you. You hit in the corner.
It wasn't a mimic, sir. It was the actual summon.
Whatever it was. Whatever. You had
again, I don't use the mimic. I don't even need to use it.
Okay, that's different. That's different. To be fair. If you use the summon, I don't think that's the same as using using the mimic tier. In JG's
the mimic is trash. The mimic is trash anyway. And I'm gonna tell you this from the start. Hold on,
JG. Hold on.
Oh, it's the horn scent, right?
Yeah.
Let me finish. I'm still not even going to knock you for using it. All I'm trying to make the argument is I understand what happened 2 years ago. But y'all got to stop bringing up the Millennia fight from 2 years ago. I feel like I proved myself with Liza P. No. $6 tier, baby.
No.
Because I've not
over leveled all of us.
Okay, hold on.
In the 200s when you fought her, and you took the longest to beat her.
Does it change? Does it change when I get to the final boss and I don't summon? Does it change?
Like I said,
answer the question.
I need to see
I'm answering what you're saying.
The final boss.
I need to see it. I said it when we had our conversation about this before the DLC dropped. You can go back, you can timestamp and find it. It was 2 episodes ago, I think. All right. I even said, so JG's still safe in my, he is not Mickey'd. I said you could use whatever tools you got to use. I wish I had known about
you did say that in the group chat. Yeah, you did say that.
I said you could use the summons, the mimic, anything you need to understand how the DLC works. See all the weapons, get what you want. But when you got to fight the final boss, and I know it is, Watts, I've been spoiled.
Twitter spoiled,
Twitter has spoiled the death of
They were crazy.
I was excited about it. I was like, oh, this is fire. But yeah, they've spoiled it. And I've seen Steve suffering for 2 days, I think, trying to kill this person. But I said when it came down to the big honcho, the one that Miyazaki said is the hardest boss that they've probably ever made.
He's not
You gotta run the ones. You gotta run the ones. That's my only thing. I don't want to see no summon, no mimic can save you there. I want to see you win with the ones.
I've never been tempted to summon my play. I never got that frustrated.
And I will say, I admitted it. I said Renelia made me lose my mind, but that was because I didn't do the fragment thing. I was being stubborn, and I literally broke. I started crashing out, and I pulled the mimic out. I pulled the summon out, and I said, we're going to jump. I cannot. If I hear her one more time say one of her lines, I'm going to fucking crash out and jump out of my window. So we killed her. I got over it, and then when people in my chat were like, oh, look at your fragments, and I had like 4 or 5 fragments. They were like, that's why you're getting destroyed. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went and grinded and everything else. And then everything, I feel like what you said, Watts, is true. Once I got my fragments up, once I started to explore more, then it started to feel like kind of how you said about like at a certain point, you feel more confident. And now you're just like, oh, I'm not really scared to walk around and explore stuff now. Compared to like when I first started and I walked off and that crazy bird with the chakrams jumped off of the thing and knocked me off of my horse and then proceeded to jump me and I died. I was like, bruh, I was like, okay, I was a little scared. I know he shook me up. But now I'm confident. I beat Mesmer without a summon. I didn't need my mimic I haven't used my mimic since Renelia. I've been able to beat all the other bosses by himself. But like I agree with you, TBH. People definitely been moving the goalposts because there was never an issue. I remember people did clown, and I stated, and Steve brought this up before. Everybody was running cheese builds even back 2 years ago. And I forgot what weapon I was using. I was using a bleed build. I wasn't using Rivers of Blood, but I was using a bleed build. Steve was using a bleed build. Siggy was running magic for like the first half of the game. I forgot about that. So it's like everybody was cheesing, bro.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Everybody was cheesing.
I put up
No
the
one was not
Siggy stream, and he was using Comet Azure. I was like, hold
Yes,
up.
he was using Comet Azure in the first half.
Wait a minute.
Because everybody clowned him. And then I remember Steve reminded me of this. He was complaining when they hot patched it and nerfed the flame, the 2 flame, the original before the Relia, Relia's her dual wields where it's like fire and ice.
Oh yeah.
The original ones were like a faith build, and they did the same type of different type
I know
of
what
elements.
you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, they nerfed those because people were just Kamehameha coming out of the gate.
I think that's why. Hold on. That's one of the changes they made in the DLC. Yeah, right at the beginning. So just be aware of this if you haven't played the DLC. A lot of bosses, as soon as you enter the door, they will rush at you. And I think it was to counter Comet Azure and like other spells, so you can't slow cast it.
They definitely been. I noticed with the AI, anybody that tries to tell you that the bosses in the DLC they use RNG, there's no pattern, they're lying. There's totally a actual noticeable pattern that you'll see. And one thing I did notice from the programming standpoint, whoever programmed these motherfuckers, fuck them. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Fuck you. You did your job too well. They have timed the timing of these guys to be so good that they know when you about to heal. And if you get greedy with that heal and you try to drink down 2 flasks at the same time, they're going to hit you with something. They're going to throw some projectile at you. They're going to fire some magic. They're going to punish you for it every time.
I started saying they're not input reading. They can see when my thumb moves to the button.
They say, "Oh, you about to hit that button?" All right.
I swear to God, if I had $1, every time Mesmer, I backed up and I was like, I gotta heal. And Mesmer threw his damn spear at me and said, no, we gonna fight. I was like, bruh, you gotta wait for those windows. And I think I agree with what you said, TBH. It's a patience game. And the best thing I did was I pulled that shield out, and that was the biggest thing that taught me patience. When I switched up my build, I was like, I'm gonna use a shield, I'm gonna use my great sword. It taught me the utmost, like, that patience was the key for this DLC. It made my life 100 times easier than me trying to hit them over and over and whack them and for like bleed effect as fast as I can. So
all right,
it's good DLC.
Let me go ahead and defend myself.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because we forgot 2 years ago, right? So when I first started the game, I was a magic build, right? Because it's my first like actual Souls game. Sekiro was different. I actually didn't even do the Kamehameha really. I never found me. So I had a magic build, and I used a certain spell almost exclusively throughout my entire playthrough.
Crack
and that was
rocks.
the rock sling, right? Yeah, they called it the crack rocks. Yes, it was a rock sling because the rock sling does crazy stagger damage, and I was killing these bosses. Like I just had to sit back for the most part, make sure I dodged when needed, and I just used rock sling. So everybody got on me for that, right? They were like, "Oh, you can't use magic, blah 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 blah." But the one thing that people disregarded was I use summons like almost exclusively. Every time I saw the icon, I was like, "Okay, I'm going to use a summon." Right?
Summon time.
Yeah. I use a summon, and I use, other summons that I got until, everybody started talking about the mimic tier, right? They're like, oh, you get to get yourself. So once a mimic tier came out, everybody was using the mimic tier. Again, nobody saw a problem. The mimic tier was crazy. It was cracked out until they nerfed it, right? Once they nerfed it, it was a little weaker, but, then people moved on to the Black Knife and Dung Eater and other stuff that were still strong. So I didn't have a problem with using summons at all. I didn't think that was a problem using summons until a certain someone got a little big-headed after 16 hours and said, I beat Millennia using no summons. And then that's what really started it all. After that, Nziki just went off the deep end and fully crashed out on this whole leadership. Fully crashed out. And he was like, yeah, if you use a summon, blah, 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 you're Mickey. You do this, you're Mickey. You do this, you're Mickey. I'm like, what the hell? Like, okay, so you're basically saying we can't play the game, right? I'm like, okay, y'all want to get on me for Crack Rock. I said, watch this. I did New Game Plus, and I was like, I'm going to be a strength and faith build, right? And I was like, y'all can't say nothing right now. I have 2 swords in my hand, and I'm just whacking people upside the head. I'm like, I'm not doing Crack Rocks anymore. I'm done with magic, okay? I have incantations, but I barely need to use them, right? And then it just was, okay, well, what can you say about me now? If it's just a summons, fine, I'll take that, because at the end of the day, I have barely enough time to play video games anyways. I'm protecting my mental health. So I said this, right?
How convenient.
I'm going to fight any main boss for a little bit, right? If it gets to 30 minutes, an hour past, and I'm not getting anywhere, all right, I'm going to use a summon, and we'll see where it goes from here. So that's going to be, that's my sentiment, because I'm protecting my mental health. I'll be damned if I fight 16 hours against one boss. I'm sorry, especially straight through. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I don't care. Like, you're a different breed, TBH. We're already we already diagnosed you as clinically insane because you did not switch your build. I remember people were telling you use summons and you got stubborn.
You
Like,
didn't
I'm not
do
using
it.
no fucking summons.
Nope.
And I was like, put that fucking stupid ass shard down. Put that staff down because you're not doing anything to Melania, bro. Use another build. He was like, I'm just gonna move Ellie. I'm gonna move Ellie the whole time. And I'm like, bro, there has to be
LT
a time.
that shit.
Yeah. I'm like, you was a one-trick pony that entire time. It's okay. You did it, but you spent 16 hours and you were insane for that. I was like, because if it would have been an hour for me, I would have quit. I spent 2 hours on Melania. I had my mimic out there and I had 2 swords in my hand and we jumped the fuck out of her. We bled her to death. And I was like, fine, it's done. That's it. You know, I beat it. And that's that. So that's my defense. And you can take it how you will. You can have your little ego. You and Siggy don't use summons. Fine by me. But Siggy is still doing magic. I just want to make that clear. It may not be Rock Sling, but the man is a magic build. He don't even know what he want to be, but the man got a staff in his hand. So I'm like, don't get on me for using a Rock Sling when this nigga is doing magic.
You saying
what
I'm about to see some thorns out of Siggy soon?
Yeah, he was in my chat. He was like, what sword is that? Hey, whoa.
Yeah, I see the same
No,
thing.
stay over there.
Whoa, what
This man said he's been playing so long. Again, he has stats pretty much in everything. So I'm like, what do you truly want to be? I don't even know what build that he really wants to be. He's just trying out shit right now, which is fine. But you know, he got really upset at that chicken wing thing because the community said it was OP. I didn't say it was OP. I didn't say he couldn't use it. I was like,
You can use it.
Yeah. I'll say Ethos had the chicken wing first, right? That's when I first heard it because I didn't look on YouTube. I'm trying my best to not be spoiled about stuff, right? So I heard that the chat said the Ethos was using the chicken wing, and then I saw Siggy using the chicken wing, and I said, what is it? I said, what does this really do, right? And I saw him deleting bosses. I said, what the fuck is this shit? I didn't know what the chicken wing was. I'm like, why does this weapon do
the way he
right?
four-shotted the Moon Knight and like she didn't even move. I'm like that was kind of crazy. I'm like, is that even fun? Like I'm still like I do damage, but I'm still dancing at least.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like everyone has their different idea of what they find fun in these games. Some people deleting the boss, that's their fun. One-shotting it, doing it with
Breaking
one try, that's their fun. For me, it's like the exact opposite. If I'm on the boss for the final boss, it took me 7 hours. That's what I want.
Oh Lord.
That's what I want. I want that. And I don't summon.
Wait. Hold on.
Let's
Let's let JG. Is she crazy? I just want to know. Is she crazy?
No, she's not 16. She beat it half an hour it took you. She literally beat it less than half.
Okay, was that 7 hours straight?
It was 7 hours straight. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you a little insane. y'all got time on your hands though. Y'all got
That's
time.
true. If I didn't have time, maybe it'd be different. But yeah.
Hold on. In my defense, I feel like context gets lost on that Millennia fight. The reason I sat there for 15 hours, because it wasn't 16. Y'all want to put that, but whatever. I'll let you have it.
Okay, sure.
The reason I sat there is because, remember, I was hosting a show and I was working all week, and that was my only day off. I had to beat her or I wasn't going to be able to play the game for like 2 weeks. So I sat there stubbornly and I was like, I am going to beat her today. That's the reason I sat there that day.
Convenient.
Otherwise, if I had the free time, I would have got off after like 2 or 3 hours. I would be like, because I did that with the Nameless Puppet. I got stuck for 2 hours. I came back the next day and washed him with a fresh mind.
Hold on. Okay, you want to talk about that? What about Stellar Blade, huh? Because I heard you was up fighting that second to last boss too for a little bit.
No. I went through the whole game. So like the last 3 bosses, there's like a crazy difficulty spike. And I wasn't wearing any. Yeah, I wasn't wearing any armor. So it wasn't on that one boss. I spent maybe an hour and a half on the final boss. I thought the second
Not the final boss. They
the
said
third
the
third to last one, that
Raven.
demon dude. I was stuck for like 3 hours on the demon dude. I was. But like I didn't spend 7 hours on any of those bosses. No.
Okay. All right. That was just what the chat said. They said you would still love streaming. And I was like, he not doing it again, right?
So I underestimated the boss. I'm not gonna lie, because in that game, I washed every boss. I was, and that was my frustration with the game. It felt like a solid action game, and then out of nowhere, it became a Souls-like game. So I had to change my mind frame, and like I wasn't in that mind frame, I guess, to adjust to that. So that's why I was kind of naked. Yeah, I was running butt naked too. But even still, like the game was completely fine in terms of difficulty for like 30 hours. The last 6 hours, it just became ridiculously hard. I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from, bruh? It was a really weird design choice. And then there was things going on in those boss fights that wasn't present in the rest of the game. Like that demon dude was straight bullshit. He was teleporting through my moves when I was like hitting him and stuff. It was a lot of unfair shit. But I mean, I didn't spend like a super long time, just longer than other stuff.
Well, overall, I just want to say, and Steve and Inito said it multiple times in the chat. Do whatever you want, because our base playthrough for the majority of us was definitely making. And if you want to get ego and feel great, because I understand that dopamine hit is crazy. That dopamine hit is definitely crazy. Whenever you spend an insane amount of time on the boss and you finally beat it, like there is a certain satisfaction. You want to pop off, talk your shit. Do whatever. And, it's all jokes at the end of the day between us. But, I just want to say T-Base definitely started it with GI, with this whole Mickey stuff, and Siggy ran with it. And that's why we're at where we're at right now. So if anybody wants to know, those are the two people who started it.
I will say, though, I would like to get like a deeper dive into your mindset, because I'm not going to play it here, but like feel free, because I think it's the most popular clip on your channel this week on Twitch when I went to look. Go look at the clip when JG beat Mesmer. I do want to. Have you seen the clip, Watts? I put it on Twitter.
I haven't seen it. I'll watch it now.
I'm gonna have to look for it. Yeah, look on my Twitter.
Not a live reaction.
Oh
man,
your reaction, it was very guilty. So I would like to know just kind of where you were at mentally after you beat him. Like, did you feel anything? Like, were you sad? Because you said verbatim, you said that didn't feel good. Don't GG's me. Like, what was going on with you, Jay? I just want to know.
Yeah, I was mad because I didn't get the last hit, and the NPC wasn't doing anything the whole fight. But it's literally when we get to the end, I got knocked down, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get back up, because he was literally at a sliver of health. So I wanted to just get back up and hit him, but the NPC was like, oh, I'm gonna finish him off because he was mad at him. That was the lore of it. So I was like, man, that didn't feel good. That's why I said that. And I was like, don't GG, because that didn't. I was like, I would have rather have tried it again.
It is.
So I was fighting Bale, and I was using I think I was using daggers, and I switched to a great katana, and I felt bad. I felt bad after that because it was so easy, because I couldn't hit his head. Right, that was a problem.
Bless your heart.
I couldn't reach his. I couldn't reach his head, and then I beat him right away as soon as I switched, and I was like, man.
Yep. That's how I felt about the dragon before Bale. That I hated him. I hated him more than Bale.
I hated him more than
Bale. His head
Bale
was
too.
just.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, you can target his head, but his head just keeps going. Ooh,
the lightning one.
The camera keeps going.
Yeah.
Yes, he was so
annoying.
irritating. And then my friend, he's like, bro, I'm gonna tell you how to win this, bro. You're gonna hate it. I said, what? He said, just get on your horse and just run around in a circle and smack him in his leg over and over again. And
I don't like horse combat either.
And I hate the horse combat. That's another thing I don't like about Elden Ring. That is one thing. I do not like horse combat bosses. I feel like they're not fun. They're not fun to do. I see some people try to do Gaius with a horse. I didn't do that. I was on foot the whole time. Yeah, I saw you. I was like, I'm not doing that shit.
I don't even hit them with a horse.
I was like, I'm not doing that shit, bro. I'm not gonna run around and try to hit and run. I was like, I hate that.
I saw the clip, by the way.
Yeah.
You look sad.
Exactly.
I was sad.
She said, I didn't feel good about that one. I appreciate it. I appreciated the meme, because that's a legendary GI quote now. He's like, I didn't feel good about that one.
I got knocked down. All I wanted to do was just get back up. That's all I wanted to do. And I couldn't get up because the fight was over then. I was like, damn, well, I was like, that's that. I was like, don't GG's, because I didn't beat him by myself. So I at least want to get the last hit. It's cool for him to help. Like the reason why I use summons mostly, and when I get to that, it's just for aggro, to be honest, because these bosses are freaking ridiculous. Like a lot of them have combos, especially Mesmer. I'm like, bro, when are you going to stop? And Ronaldo's the same way. That's why Ethos crashed out. I was like, Ronaldo just did not stop trying to hit you.
You know what it is?
That's why y'all gotta climb me up.
Bro, it was that stupid spin where she would go slice in a circle, slice, and I'll be like, bro, I can't dodge this attack. And then she just do the stupid fire attack too. You get too close, fire. You run away. Oh my god, I got triggered because I would try to heal. She would do the summoning the swords above her head, and I'd be like, oh, she's focused on the NPC. Now's my time to heal.
And then it come back.
And the swords would still come at me. I'll be like, bro, I can't win this, dog.
That's another thing that I feel like they definitely also updated.
They aggro you
with the bosses. Yeah, no, they still aggro back to you.
Yeah. Well, what were you? I'm sorry, I cut you off on that, Watts. What were you saying about Bale? Did you say did Egon steal your kill or?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
I just switched to no, I switched to Milady, which is a light greatsword.
Like greatsword, yeah.
You have the wing stance with it, or what do you?
Yeah, I was using wing stance with, although not that I can use it at any point. But yeah, I switched to that because I was like, then I can hit the head. You know, their head takes so much more damage than their toes, and I was like, man, it's too easy.
So, okay, I'm sorry. I'm about to start bitching about this game. Why did they not add a target lock to his leg? Well, that's a weak point on him. Why did they not allow? Like, they don't allow.
You spoiling the fight for me and shit?
No, I ain't spoiling nothing, bro. You already see.
I don't lock on the dragons because they're too big.
Okay, that helps me too. Yeah, whenever I fall.
I don't lock on
for a lot of the big bosses or a lot of bosses, period, or they kind of mess you up because it limits your movement.
Don't use the arts. Just don't do the skill arts against Bale. You're just gonna get.
That's that fight with Bale and then the final fight too. I feel like those are the ones. Like those are gonna be probably walls I run into. That I'm
gonna spam that final boss.
I cannot wait to see you guys on the final boss. He's tough. He's definitely tough.
I've seen some clips, and I could be wrong, but based off the clips I've seen of the final boss, his pattern doesn't look that hard to roll. It's the fact there's lights every fucking where, and you can barely see it. But I could be wrong.
Man, I thought it was a freaking shadow. Like I thought it was. I forgot what that one boss was in the base game that you just run into that area and then like he just appears. I forgot what the name of it. It was either Margit or Margot, one of them who came back, and he just started fighting you again. I was like, what the hell? Like I thought you were dead. Yeah, second form. Yeah. I was like, what the? I thought that the final boss, because I ended up coming to see Dream, and I was like, I didn't know he was at the final boss. So I was like, damn, but this is a shadow of it. And I was like, man. Once everybody started saying, I was like, I got spoiled. I was like, fuck, I didn't know that was the final boss.
Did any of y'all fight that Sunflower, the Skidoo avatar or whatever?
Yep.
Fuck that boss, bro.
Yeah, you want to tell you, I feel like
that one was a wall for me.
The first wall that like irritated me, or not even a wall. The thing that irritated me was when I got to that fucking golden hippo. I was like, when it did the spike thing, I was like, bro, really? Like he's already big, he's already hitting me and chomping on me. Now he's turning into Sonic the Hedgehog and just rolling around the porcupine. Yeah. And it was like Steve said it the best way. He said the boss is like the hippo, which is like him, Gaius, the big guys that aren't like massive like Bale, but they're like in the middle between like a regular human and Bale, whatever the hell we call that section. They are people that attack patterns aren't super fast, they aren't super flashy, but like they just take up so much space that they just hit you, or they just cause the camera because now you have this big thing that's just jumping your screen super fast and hitting you from different angles that you're not.
It's funny you said that because people, when I got to the hippo and I heard y'all talk about it in the group chat, even my chat was like, yo, you about to get washed. I beat him in like 30 minutes. I found him those enemies that you just described, I find those ones to be the easiest.
That's what I'm saying. They're not difficult. It's just
they're just big.
They're just fucking big.
You gotta always. So what I always tell myself, I speak to myself out loud. I'll be like, because what I learned, especially against like the lion, the moment you get in the corner with any of these bosses, just put the controller down. Yeah, you have to remember, keep the fight in the center, and it becomes much easier. It becomes much easier.
Yeah,
and then I got into the corner with the final boss, and don't do that.
Just
never do that. Just don't do it. I couldn't see anything. It was just spinning. I couldn't see at all.
So the same thing with Commander Guys. Like literally, you cannot. And going back to TV's point, that was the one thing that I say was hard. Like him and Mesmer so far for me. A lot of things like if it just touches you like barely, then you're going to get hit. Like Mesmer, I understand the spear is long, but I'm like, bro, I'm like at range where you shouldn't be able to hit me, and I dodge, and like literally if I'm like this, like just right at the then it hits you. And Commander Guys will do the same way. I'm like, how do you dodge through? Hit the entire freaking hog because 9 times out of 10 I'm going to get hit by the back leg, and I've already dodged past, and I'm like, you have to dodge at the right time, otherwise you're going to get hit. I'm like, this is stupid. Like they need to fix that. And that's a lot of things with a lot of the like mid-range bosses that you're mentioning.
It's like I feel like the hitbox is like when you're visualizing them. So when you see them, right, and they're doing this attack to you, you expect it to be like, okay, the front like 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, this is probably where the hitbox is supposed to hit me. So then you move out of the way, you dodge. And for some reason, Now his 7 o'clock is hitting you. Like now his like backside is also a hitbox, and it hits you too. And you're just like, but that wasn't where his attack was. Like it was the front side. Why is his side? It's as if it, like almost the entire box of the character, it all lights up as if I touch you, you're gonna get hit by me. It doesn't matter. And then I noticed they did this too because I remember the meme of when I played Dark Souls 3, a meme that me and my friend had was when you walk through a boss fight, when you walk to go into a boss fight for the first time, if you see a big boss, praise God, it's going to be the easiest boss of them all because you could just run up to their crotch and just hit them over and over again, and they can't hit you because you're just so small, you can just dodge into them over and over again. In Elden Ring, I feel like they fixed that, where now it's like they've added so many bosses now who have like an AoE right on them. So like if you try to get up in the cut with them, they purposely make sure like you got to get away from me. Where now it's like back then it was okay, and if you walk in, if you see a humanoid like your size boss, you're screwed. They're gonna beat the crap out of you. But now it's like doesn't matter what type of size you see, all these things can beat the crap out of you no matter what. They all have a way of like keeping you away or engaging you and not letting you run away from them. So
I think what helped me for those who play it, like especially like because Mesmer has a lot of that where like he shoots the fire and it keeps you away. Like I would roll back and then right when he would attack again, I'd roll right back in. No, you got to remember to roll right back in because if you keep rolling back, his staff is gonna fuck you up. So like you got to make the conscious decision to roll back and forth a lot of different times. That's one thing that's different. I think one thing that I noticed about the bosses that pissed me off and I could be wrong because it was 2 years ago. I don't remember it in the base game. Maybe my poise isn't high enough, but I feel like I get stun locked a lot against bosses in the DLC where like I'll get hit once and my character gets up really slow. And then by the time he gets up, I get hit again and I'm dead.
So endurance up, big dog.
Is that, well, I got a 40 endurance, I think.
That's nothing. Step your game up. 40 is not enough. 60 minimum.
I have 30 endurance.
Yeah, you gotta get your endurance up. I'm speaking with a guy who has the turtle talisman and a shield. So I'm a tanky little boy. I can take a hit. So yeah, I think it's endurance. I think endurance determines your recovery speed, like when you're in that animation trying to get back up, and like how many iframes you have in the process. I think it's that, or it's vigor. It's one of those two. I can't remember.
Okay. So how are we feeling overall in terms of the game? Is it a buy? Game of the Year nomination? What's everybody? Watch what you think.
All of that, man.
It's the best. It was the happiest 10 days of my life.
Ran through that jet.
I woke up every day.
She Forrest Gump the DLC.
So
You got up. What you thinking?
Yeah, get it if you're about that life. But I would warn you, it's not going to be a fun time.
Don't come outside if you're not ready.
Right? It's definitely not gonna. When they say come outside, we're not gonna jump you. No, they're gonna jump you, bro. Just get ready.
I seen JD run JD. Shout out to him. He was streaming it the other day. I think he broke down because of the hype. He bought the base game. He was fighting one of them knights, and the attack pattern was so slow. And I kept telling him, he's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, bro, just roll forward and turn the corner. Like, and you will easily win this fight. And it's so funny to watch somebody at the beginning that doesn't know what they're doing. I'm like, bro, you bought it because you probably wanted to hop into the DLC, see what's going on. But listen, if you can't roll forward, if you're scared to do that in the base game, don't come out to the DLC. I'm going to tell you that right now. You cannot be scared to do that shit. I think it should be nominated for Game of the Year. But like I said earlier, I understand that some people want to argue against it because it's technically DLC. I do want to get y'all take on this. It was a very interesting thing. The director Miyazaki, keeping it in the realm of Elden Ring, he gave an interesting quote in an interview with PC Gamer, where he went on to say, and I quote, he said a lot of things, but this is the one that stuck out to me. While Elden Ring is not quite my bad. I'm still in the process of making my ideal fantasy RPG. While Elden Ring is not quite it's getting close. And the way I read that as, and maybe I'm wrong, but he said, this is not even my final form. It's close, but it's not my final form. So I wanted to pick everybody's brain. Like, Jay, what do you think, like, From Software could do to take their next Souls-like game, whatever it is, to, like, that next level? And if he's saying he's operating at 90%, what's 100?
Man, I don't even know. Like, that's such a hard question because who knows what's going through his brain, right? Like, we literally, after Elden Ring, like, we got Armored Core 6, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a continuation. So who knows? Because Elden Ring was a new IP in Armored Core 6. While it was amazing, that was a continuation, right? Like Sekiro was, again, bringing it to the next level before Elden Ring. And Sekiro was not even an open world game. It was a linear game pretty much. So I really don't know. Like it really like has me intrigued. I have no clue. I can't even really answer that question.
I would say I would like to see them continue to streamline and improve the UI, because that was one of the things that I always hated about. I think that's what made me like Elden Ring. I hated Dark Souls 2 because I just felt like it was really clunky, not the gameplay, but just the overall menus and stuff. And I really feel like they got it right with Elden Ring. But I still feel like there's a few things they can clean up there. And then I would like to see them in, because I didn't put it in the notes, but he said in another interview, I think with IGN, they are considering doing, because there's co-op in the game, but for those who haven't played it, it's very technical. You have to use this little thing to summon your friend in, and then it only lets you say in a specific area. You kill that little side boss in the area, and then it ends, and you have to resummon each other. You cannot play the whole game co-op, and I think it's for like balancing issues. He was saying that
you can't use torrent, so it's kind of rough to be in that can't get,
which is the horse for those unaware. It's very rough. You're just running around in this big world. So I would like for them to really embrace there's a mod called Seamless Co-op that allows you to do all that. Just embrace Seamless Co-op, and like if they have to, when you hop in the co-op, so it's not Mickey, just scale the difficulty, make it harder. But I would like to be able to hop on the horse with the homies and go experience the struggle together with all our builds. That would be fucking fire to take it like to a next level. What do you think, Ethos?
Live service game.
Oh my
Two
God.
Mimics.
You're done.
Electric Boogaloo. That's what Miyazaki's dream is. No, I think what he's going towards is, I think he's trying to make Monster Hunter styled, cooperative, Dark Souls competitive,
fire,
Destiny styled universe type of thing where you can run around. And I don't mean Destiny 2 like well, because if you think about it, there's like loot, but I don't think like oh, this is an exotic, this is a rarity type of thing. But I just mean like more diversity by which how many builds you can do, like a new way that you can evolve the way that you make your character, and making it where you design the game, like you said, fully co-op. You could play it solo, the game works solo, but this one would be cool. I guess this is just me personally, my brain. Finding ways to incorporate your allies mechanically to work together to kill a boss.
Anthem type shit?
The bosses as well. More like Dragon's Dogma. Like, you know how Dragon Ball 2, like, they had the grab and stuff like everyone always talks about. Combat engine, awesome. Everything else, but the combat engine, really cool. I think, like, that's, like, the next stage of what I think Miyazaki wants to do. But I feel like with that, there's a lot of mechanical things you have to figure out, especially with how thought out you have to be about making a Soulsborne game. And when you add co-op, like what you said, you got to think about, how do you balance it? How do you balance when you fight with one person on your team, two people? What if they're using, like what you said, like the Mimic and stuff like Elden Ring is a pure example of when you have so many tools in the game, it's impossible that you can catch every single thing and avoid something from being broken. You just can't. There's just so many ways. Gamers are going to find a way to break your game. They just always are. But I do think I think what he wants to do is, I think he wants to make a game. I think he's embraced kind of the co-op aspect. I would love to see that too, where less of them trying to make it hard mode, trying to connect with people, make it easier to just drop in, drop out, and create and make your character maintain this sort of identity that maybe kind of like how Helldivers 2 feels, maybe community driven kind of, where it's like the whole world.
It's still hard, but you're playing together.
Yeah, like I felt that with Destiny 2. Like when Destiny 2 did its final raid, where it was like the whole community has to work together, and then if one of them can breach it, now the world for everyone else changes, and now there's like a new part of the game that's unlocked.
Elden Ring raid would be crazy. Like five people jump a boss.
Yeah,
that'd be
something
crazy.
like maybe that's what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to do something where like we create a sort of like MMO type raid type of experience where you and two other friends maybe team up together to fight bosses. But then everyone's gonna be, oh, that's all Mickey. You can't use your friends.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that would be dope. I'd be curious if people actually would do that, if they embrace the co-op. Like, oh, you're not allowed to do that. I'm doing this by myself. Next thing you know, you got 300 hours on the game for no damn reason.
They were bitching about the same thing, Dark Souls. Like, this is the funny thing. This hasn't been anything different. I think, remember when I played Dark Souls 3, I saw people in the community that said if you use co-op to help you fight bosses, you didn't really beat the boss. Like I remember that back in 2016. It's just a renewed version of that type of argument. So
and more people are talking because more people are playing the game now.
Yes, and now it's shifted to the mimics and the summoning. But back in the day, co-op was considered the easy mode of Dark Souls.
You want to let people use these tools that are in the game, because then the game will sell well, which means the company will make more money, which allows them to make more games. I mean, an example being, last I checked, Armored Core 6 sold 3 million copies. That's the best selling in the series. That series has never been good selling, and I'd argue Elden Ring is the reason why Armored Core 6 sold so well. They were riding off the success of that. It helped it, and it didn't sell as much as Elden Ring, but it sold more than the other Armored Cores. So it's like, yeah, let people enjoy the games how they want to. You just you can't sit at the champions table if you use a mimic tier. That's all. But
Now be careful, TBH. I don't know if you want to be talking about no champion room or champion round or nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna chill out. I still ain't beat the game. I
don't think you want to be sitting at no championship table. I'll put it that way.
I know what he's talking about. We'll talk about
I want
that
you
later.
to tag me when you're at the final boss. I want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna lose my shit. Probably.
Ain't no way I'm streaming the whole thing. I'll stream the first 2 hours. After that, I'll be like, I gotta get offline.
Get the clips. No, I'm taking a break if I feel like I'm getting tilted.
Yeah.
I will try my best, Ethos, is all I'm saying. I'll try my best. Whenever we get there.
The rule was you can do it, but no mimic, no help. I will say if Steve breaks, because Steve said he's hearing the Mickey Mouse theme song, it's playing in the back of his head. I'm like, bro, it's that bad. He's like,
oh, just use a summon.
Yeah. He's like, I might have to use some crazy cheese or something to kill this man. This is insane.
I use
that ant spur rapier. That's what I
what did you use, Watts? Just so
that's like one of the weapons that I came into the DLC with.
Mm-hmm.
It's got innate. It's got innate rot on it. I didn't want to, but I was like, man, I feel like I need. I want to take advantage of one of the talismans that I got. You do more damage when you're like two-handing something, so it's like, okay, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I ended up using the ant spirit rapier. It's got innate rot on it, and then you can also change the ash of war too, so you can add like poison on it, you could add bleed, you could add whatever you want onto it. So that's what I used.
Gotcha.
with a new ash of war though, which I was able to use once in that fight. So
oh god,
man, get your mental health ready. I think I'm gonna beat it like in this week. I'm gonna explore, and then the week after that I'm gonna try to probably beat it. Because I want to get the rest of those fragments, which by the way, get those fragments. One thing I will say about it, this is the last I'm gonna say, I'm level 17, and that's without trying. I've just been exploring like every corner, and like I feel like most of them are not hidden in really weird areas. Just check your corners; they're not hard to find. So just that's why I'm like, the people complaining is too hard. Just play the game. Like, you paid money for it. I don't understand why y'all want to speed rush these bosses. There's only a handful that like, now I got to really go look for them now that I'm getting down to the bottom. But you should be able to get to at least like level 15 without even trying. Just explore, and you will come across them.
I finished at 19, and I didn't look up anything of where they were either. I just found them. It's not too bad.
There you go.
I don't know where those others are, but they're gonna stay lost.
How many is the max?
20, level 20.
Oh, okay.
So there you have it. Those are our thoughts on Shadow of the Erdtree. Feel free to pick it up if you're interested. I think we praised it pretty high.
Yes.
What's the name? I think the next big game after this, in my opinion, is Wukong. But JG said that Flintlock. He said, "Well, go play that." I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be on Game Pass. I'll play it. We'll probably talk about that on the next one when it comes out." So let's move on to the news section of the show. Since the last podcast, Nintendo had their June Direct where they had a handful of announcements. I put an article in the show notes for y'all that basically summarizes everything they showed off. Some highlights included a new Mario and Luigi game. They had a new Zelda game that actually stars Zelda. It's The Legend of Zelda with Zelda. It doesn't star Link. It's a new little puzzler game. Bunch of JRPGs. Basketball coming to Wii Sports. Anything here that stuck out to you, Jay?
Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
I knew it. I thought you was gonna say Fairy Tail too.
No, that's what you said. That's what you said. I didn't even know they had a Fairy Tail 1 video game. So out of tune I am with Fairy Tail.
What's the name? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought there was a couple things that I liked, but it was kind of It was a bunch of games I wasn't too interested in. I'm more so looking for like, when y'all gonna announce this? It's supposed to come out in 2025. Where is the Switch 2? Like, that's what I want to see. Just, can we get a picture of it?
You didn't. Like care about Metroid Prime? This only thing.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? Metroid Prime.
Okay, hold on. That's how I forget. I forgot. I'm not gonna lie.
Metroid Prime.
I was,
Hello?
but I forgot that they announced it. And you know why?
That was like the big thing.
Let me finish. Do you know why I don't remember? I wasn't that impressed. Like, at least from what I saw, based off how long we've been waiting, I didn't get that excited. That's why.
Yeah.
You were excited based off what we saw?
Absolutely.
What did you saw that spoke to you?
My boy from from Hunters, back. I love that game on the DS. He's apparently the villain. That has me pretty excited, considering we haven't gotten a Metroid game in God knows how long. That looks good. It looks like OG, like GameCube, how Metroid was. It looks like Metroid Prime. Like the roots. Right. Yeah. And that's something we haven't seen in a very long time. That's why I'm really excited for it. And I loved Metroid when I was a kid. So, I'm excited to play it. We don't talk about other M.
What about Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with the Capcom collection? I like that.
I don't give a crap about
the Marvel vs. Capcom collection looks fire.
That looked good. There was a lot of cool stuff. I thought the Zelda game gameplay wise looked awesome. I was shocked. I thought I wouldn't like it.
I thought it looked pretty good too. I might actually get it.
Your Mario or your Luigi Mansion thing.
2? I got it on the 3DS. I already played it.
I was like, oh, this is
wait.
Super Mario Party for me and my family. It's going to be a hit.
Hey, Jamboree. It looked pretty good.
Yeah. I think it was good. I think they had the second best show of the entire. Competition wasn't tough to beat. But I think they had the second best show.
If you like more like obscure like JRPGs and stuff like that, what they announced, you're probably like super excited. I feel like they showed very niche games, so it depends on who you are. What'd you think, Watts?
I think, Metroid was really the only thing that I saw. I was like, oh, Metroid, nice. Everything else, like the Zelda game, was probably cool. But in terms of things that I'm actually excited about and looking forward to and going to play, I think Metroid was the only one in there.
Mm-hmm. We can play that shit on my Steam Deck.
I was going to ask you right before we started recording, and now that I remember, have you tested out the PS5 streaming on your Steam Deck?
The thing I put it in the DMs like when I first appeared on Twitter.
I must have missed it. How does it run?
I sent you like a pretty good. Because
I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't beat Final Fantasy. And like I've been itching to play it, but like I don't want to sit up and play that shit. The older I get, I'm like I just want to lay on the couch and play some games. Like I think I've been thinking about getting it.
I didn't notice any input issues, and like visually it looks almost 1-to-1. So I'd say it's better than. I'd say it's better than what PlayStation created, though. What do they call that?
Right.
The PlayStation...
The PSP bootleg or whatever that shit is.
Bootleg PSP, yeah.
Portable,
it runs really well. I think they updated... The reason I put in the GMs was they had updated it through a firmware update that now you can remotely connect to your PS5 from anywhere in the world. So you no longer have to be on your Wi-Fi to do it. And they were testing. They said that the latency was barely noticeable at all. From that, I haven't tested that. I've tested it within the confines of my house, but I haven't like walked out like far away and booted into my PS5 and see if it plays. Because I don't got nothing to play on there right now.
All these games they announced for the Switch, like I don't even know if my Switch will last. Like the battery, so that shit's almost 10 years old. I don't know. I'm not buying a new Switch. The battery probably won't last more than an hour to play any of these games. So then you got to keep it on the charger or on the TV. I want to see that Switch too. And another reason I didn't get super excited about the Metroid thing was like visually, the frame rate looked a little shaky. So that's why I'm like, can we get it on the Switch too? Like, because I don't know how it's gonna run on this
It'll be Switch 2
hardware.
I think they said it's coming out in 2025. It's probably a launch title for the Switch 2.
Yeah,
it has to be.
Either that or they'll have it on the Switch 2 and then have a lower version on the original.
I'm calling it. They're gonna do a Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild bundle remaster for the Switch 2, and they're gonna resell that too. But overall, I'd give that event like a 5 or a 6. It didn't really move me. It was some cool. It was alright. It was something to watch. But you might be right though. Ethos might have been the second best one after Xbox, which speaks to how kind of weak Summer Games Fest as a whole has been.
It wasn't that crazy, right? Like it's the opening show of Summer Game Fest. It was really like the last 30 minutes. So I was like, oh, there's all the stuff I want to see. You had Phantom Blade Zero and Wilds and.
We talked about that in the Xbox showcase on the last show, but since you wasn't here, you might as well give us your opinion. What do you think of the Xbox, the PlayStation State of the Play, the Summer Games Fest?
You're actually we finally have someone here who's a
they hate that we don't play Monster Hunter.
Yeah, they hate that we don't play it.
You should. So you were talking about you're using the Great Katana in Elden Ring. It's literally the exact same moveset as the longsword in Monster Hunter.
So my chat wasn't trolling. They said the same thing as you. They were like, "You'll probably like Monster Hunter." My experience with Monster Hunter, I played Monster Hunter 4 on the 3DS, and I remember I was hunting a T-Rex, and then I was beating his ass, got him to like half health, and he ran away. And then it made me track his poop. And I said, oh, wow, you really have to haunt the monster. I'm like, I'm not playing this. Like,
it's monster hunting. Yeah.
Man,
it was more.
Nah, I want to fight. Go ahead, no, my fault.
I love Monster Hunter. Big fan of Monster Hunter. And WoW's is just looking crazy. Like, visually, it's looking incredible. It's definitely going to be my game of the year in 2025. I don't think there's going to be anything that can top it. They've really nailed the gameplay loop, right? Of like, you go and you kill the monster, and now you're like, oh, I want to make their weapon and their armor because that's really cool. And then you go kill them again until you make the weapon and the armor. Then you go fight the next monster, and then you do the exact same thing. And it's just such an addicting thing making builds, and the combat is so good. And they do free content updates, right? Like you pay for the game one time, they do a bunch of free content updates, and then they do one expansion, and then a bunch of free content updates. So it's definitely one of the more consumer-friendly games that are out there.
I've been keeping my eye on it, and I have like some of the changes I've seen they announced. A lot of stuff streamlining kind of the traversal and making the co-op like more seamless and stuff like that. And like now that I know that you play it a lot, definitely gonna have to bug you, teach us the ways of it, because like that one, I am interested in the new one. It looks.
You should play it. It's really good. I swear, Monster Hunter changes your life when you play it.
That's a bold statement. That's a bold
statement.
It changes your life.
I don't care about none of that Capcom stuff, man, until they give me on.
Here we go. Old man Onimucha.
I'm keeping that energy every single podcast.
Oh, shit.
Give me Onimucha. I ain't playing Resident Evil. I'm not playing Monster Hunter. Nope, none of that.
Okay.
I pray they actually make it and it ends up like not being good. Just completely.
I'm I was praying on your downfall.
I hope they put an Onimusha armor in Monster Hunter, the new one.
They might.
Make me more mad. It's gonna make me more mad.
They might. You can be Ryu in Monster Hunter. Your cat can be Mega Man.
Wasn't Geralt in Monster Hunter too?
Yeah,
Witcher?
You can be Geralt. You can be Aloy.
That makes sense.
There's a bunch of stuff in there.
Very interesting. What do you think of the Xbox showcase?
The Xbox showcase, so I thought it was really, really good. Xbox just tends to have less games that I'm personally super excited about. So even like Black Myth Wukong, it's not launching on Xbox anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come out on Xbox eventually. But I think it's because of the whole Xbox Series XS thing. I think you have to launch it on the S. And if you can't make it work for that, you can't launch it on.
I didn't put it on the notes, but I was reading. Yeah. There's rumors going around that was the original rumor, that it was because the Series S is holding it back. But I've seen multiple arguments from major publications saying there's a rumor going around in the industry. The reason it's not launching on Xbox is because of PlayStation cut an under table deal for like a timed exclusive. And they just never, because if you go back and look at the
verified sources, like this isn't like
no, it's still a rumor. It's not verified, but it was on some big websites. So I was like, there might be some merit to it. But like, if you go back and look at the older trailers, the Xbox symbol was there, and then like they removed it, like the recent one. So like,
for Wukong?
For Wukong, yeah.
And they did an interview, and they're like, we're just launching on Xbox later, but it was going to come on everything all at once. So. So I thought the showcase was great. It's just there were not too many things that I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to play that. I was like, yeah, that looks cool. I'll try it out. It looks cool. I'll try it out. But
there were some more Souls games there. I forgot the names of them when we talked about it, but it was some other Souls like.
There was a couple.
Games.
There was one Chinese game that I can't remember the name of it. Something about feathers or something.
Oh yeah.
That one, we saw gameplay of that like a few years ago, and all the comments is just like this. They just stole Sekiro. They just stole Sekiro.
I remember.
It's got like the same animations and everything. Yeah. But hey, I'm not mad at it. I'll play it.
I'll take more Sekiro. Rum ain't gonna make it. Yeah,
I'll play it. Yeah. So there was some of that stuff. Obviously, I'm excited about, but I'll try any game. I just know that for me, I know what's gonna have me stick around and play the whole thing. There can be games that I can enjoy for, 10 hours, and I'm like, cool, I've had my fun, and I'll go play something else.
I got you. And that me, I love do more research. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers.
Yes.
What's the name of the game?
That is the one. There is old gameplay from a few years ago. If anyone's interested, you can look up gameplay and they show it.
Ethos was
What
right.
about Mecha Break? You're not a mech fan?
I'm not a huge mech fan. No.
Just me and JG. Just
Metal
us
Gear
guys.
Solid? No.
Metal Gear Solid, yeah. I loved Metal Gear when I was younger. So I'll definitely try the new one.
All right.
Fair enough. Let's dial it back to Nintendo. Actually, talking Switch 2 news. Although they didn't show anything at the actual Nintendo Direct, they did give an interesting statement to the press here on Comic Book in regards to, because scalping was a big issue when the PS5 and Xbox had first came out. They released a statement, the president, saying how they're going to avoid scalping issues. And I don't know if let me just read the quote. So he said the way that they're going to avoid scalping issues with the Switch 2 is, as a countermeasure against resale, we believe that the most important thing is to produce a sufficient number to meet customer demand, and this idea has not changed since last year. In addition to this, we are considering whether there are any measures that can be taken to the extent allowed by laws and regulations, taking into account in the circumstances of each region. So basically, we're going to make more so that nobody can scalp and oversell. And then they also said that they think they have the chip issue solved. So in theory, it should work. The reason I was like, I'm not sure, because it's like they didn't seem 100% sure still. So I'm like, unless you do have a proper number, there's no way to stop scalping 100%. And even still, people with bots, even if they make a lot, people with bots could just buy them all and be faster than everybody else. So I'm like, what can you do legally about? What y'all think about this? Y'all think they can succeed at this?
I mean, it really just all depends on how many that they can actually make. If I'm not mistaken, I think like with the Switch and even the Wii, like Nintendo was notorious for giving the least amount of consoles at launch, and that's what caused big issues. I don't think the Xbox and Sony, historically have had at least, a lot of people talking about the issue of being able to grab one. Like obviously the pandemic was different, especially with the PS5, not so much the Xbox, but that was a different situation because of semiconductors. But even before then, with the previous iterations, I don't think that Sony and Xbox had as big of an issue as Nintendo did. Nintendo just didn't make enough. It was definitely more demand than the supply. So with them, it's definitely going to be a wait and see approach. Because again, it wasn't the same situation with the other two companies in the big three. So
I think also too, I'm not like the PS5 and the Xbox when it came out. Like the PS5 was like the cool thing. Everybody wanted it. I don't know if the Switch will be cool enough to where the scalpers are gonna want to scalp it. I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, but I feel like it is two different like audiences. The people who wear Luigi hats versus people who play The Last of Us, I guess. I don't know. Obviously, sometimes they intertwine because we play everything, but not always. So I don't even know if they have to 100% worry. Although, when the Wii came out, the sales, it was hard to get one. Not due to scalpers. The sales are just going crazy. But that was due to the motion controls and it being really popular. It's hard to tell where this one's going to go. What you think, Ethos?
I hear this all the time. PlayStation tried to mitigate the problem. That didn't work out. The scalper still got to it. Unless you have a way that like you can like lock in verified users via like Nintendo accounts and say, well, you have to have a Nintendo account that has existed like a year or something like that, or has verified purchases on it, and you use that as a way. But even then, it's just like so many websites just crash to
that's not
demand.
That's not fair either, too, because like let's say they do Nintendo account for like a year. What if somebody wasn't interested in the Switch, so they never bought one, but then they're interested in the Switch too? Yeah, like it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, there's no win. I don't think there's like a way, because if there was, I feel like someone would have already come up with it by now. I feel like there's just there's no win way unless you're like physically. The only way they can solve it is if they physically make sure that they have enough that they're making that get to actual stores that stores are enforcing a one per person policy on. Like that's the only way I think you can solve it.
I think another way you can solve it is, let's say there is a shortage and people are putting up Switch 2s. Let's say it retails for $300-$400, but people are putting them up for $1,000, demonstrating self-control. They can only scalp because y'all allow them to scalp you. Like, you could tell yourself, do I really need this year one? Because here's the thing. If a bunch of scalpers put it up for $1,000 and nobody buys that shit, the market dictates shit. They're gonna have to drop the price.
Yeah, true.
Y'all were
That's
buying
true.
those PS5s.
That's easy to say, but in theory, but it's not. Yeah,
Mm.
FOMO is a motherfucker, bro. Like FOMO will tear your mental up. You just have to have it just because everybody else has it, or you just really, you're a super fan and you just cannot get it. I saw an interesting thing, and I don't know if this will work necessarily with Nintendo or really anybody else who sells your thing in other stores, not just through yourself as a direct a direct chain here. But I saw J Balvin. I don't know if y'all familiar with him, but he had some Jordan shoes.
Wait, the artist?
Yeah, the artist. Yeah.
Who put you on to him?
My wife. Hello?
Why are you checking him like that?
I just want to see. No. I just want to see because ain't he a Puerto Rican artist? I was like, that makes sense.
he ain't He's not Puerto Rico.
Oh shit, my bad. Is he Dominican? What is he?
He's from Colombia.
Oh shit, you got all the Latin artists like that.
Don't let people because I don't want the comments to be on your head. But anyway,
I don't care. They were. I'll mute them.
So he had some exclusive. He had some exclusive Jordans coming out, right? And he really, really wanted his diehard fans to get them, right? So he had an email list, and if you were in the email list and it would say, hey, you can purchase the shoes before anybody else, before this actually goes retails on sneakers on the app. And what he did was he made the shoe $20,000, right? $20,000, and if you got an exclusive code once you went to checkout, if you were able to get in, if you showed that you were a true fan, and you got the code, you got the email that said, hey, you can buy these shoes, and it was $20,000, and you went to checkout, he gave you a special code so that, the bots couldn't get to it. And if you put in that code, then it'll be, I think the shoes will retail $220 or something. So the code made it so it was 19,000 or something off. And then it made it the actual retail price. So basically, that's how he combated the scalpers from the bots from maybe.
He basically had somebody program a custom authentication app. Basically, sounds like.
Kind of, but no, it was literally just if you have a promo code, if you go to checkout online, right? If you have a promo code, you can enter that in. And he only gave the promo code to the people who actually got the emails. If you signed up for this list and you got the email, you got a code that came with it. But again, he made it $20,000. So a bot wouldn't be able to purchase this because, again, it's $20,000. And who has $20,000? A bot wouldn't have enough to continue to purchase that, right? Say you can sign up for all the emails you want, but you'll need to put in this code, and a bot wouldn't be able to put in the code and initially go to checkout and be able to put in the code in order to get it for however many off to make it the actual retail price. So I don't know if anybody else could do that. Nintendo, again, they wouldn't be able to do that unless it was through them specifically. If Nintendo was hey, this is the only place you can get it and you can't get it anywhere else at any of our other retailers, then they could do something like this to combat bots and scalpers. But other than that, it probably wouldn't work. But I just found that interesting when I saw that. I was like, you know what? I was like, that's very smart to do that. To make sure that the people who actually care about you will be able to get the product.
J Balvin, the innovator. I'm curious of gamers because that's a different fan base. I'm sure it intertwines sometimes, but I wonder if gamers would go for something like that, or would they bitch and complain? Because they love to sit on Twitter. Oh, why I gotta do all this 20,000 code and Kotaku? I wonder if they would actually be cool with that. Because something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, you're in theory, would be correct, but people just don't care, bro. At the end of the day, they want something. If you can't get it, then the FOMO kicks in, and then you're shelling out two times more than what the product is just to get it. Man, and it's the same product, whether it's $300 or $1,000, still the same thing. It's not going to make it any better or your experience any better because you overpaid for something.
It is what it is. I hope Nintendo does figure it out, and I hope they are able to produce as much, and there's not a chip shortage. Also, can we see it for the millionth time? Can we see it? Because I'm tired of hearing about it. Can we see it? Yeah. I want to see what it looks like. What kind of power? That would be nice. Oh, Samurai Zero. Is it coming to Switch 2, Ethos? Can we get a confirmation, maybe? Have you seen a dev kit?
No comment.
Okay. Oh. Think what you want. Comments, think what you want. Other console news we got for you. Actually, this is perfect in terms of the scalpers. There's a rumor circulating around. This one got really hot this week that Sony is working on native backwards compatibility for PS3 games on the PS5. And the reason this got a lot of hype on the internet is not because there's any merit to it. We don't know. More so, like, I just saw a lot of people talking and excited about this, so I wanted to bring it up on the podcast. Did you guys spend $1,000 on a PS5 to play PS3 games from 20 years ago?
Sure.
What about you, Jay?
No, sir. I actually still have my PS3. I have the original one too,
Fat
the
Joey.
OG one that played that backwards compatible with PS2 game. So, because I know the one that came after that, it wasn't backwards compatible. So,
Yeah. Anytime I think of the fat PS3, it reminds me of I was in college when that came out, and my roommate, he had two of them. He had two iPhones, and he was on food stamps, and he had brought like a bunch of food home to the dorm, and then he was just like, yeah, he's like, you want some of my food? I just use food stamps. And I remember saying to him, I'm like, how are you on food stamps and you got two PS3s? And remember, the PS3 was $600 back then. And remember, back then, $600 was in 2000. What was it, 8, I believe, or 19?
Something
that yeah, it was worth more money. That was like 700-800 now. So I was like, how the fuck do you have two PS3s and you got fucking food stamps? He's like, man, you know how it is. He's like, fuck the government. I was like, that was one of those moments, you know, the meme, black people. I was like,
Oh my god!
I was like, dude, are you serious right now?
what was he even doing with the other PS3? Just
Nothing. It was just sitting there, bro. You want to hear another funny story of what I tossed it to watch since we talked about college? That same roommate, that motherfucker disappeared for like a week. And I remember I was starving back in college. I didn't have no money. I had like maybe like $5 to my name, and I bought like a can of tuna and a pack of crackers, and I had to make that shit last for like 5 days. I ended up starving for like 3 days straight, just laying in bed to conserve energy. This motherfucker, it was food all in the room, but I don't steal, so I didn't want to steal his EBT food. This motherfucker comes back home missing, and he's like, why ain't you eat? He's like, I have food right here. I'm like, bro, all right, dog. I was like, my bad for trying to be a decent person. I wasn't trying to steal. I was waiting for the fucking check to clear.
You should have communicated, man. You should have said something before he left.
Oh my god, this is back before everybody had smartphones and shit too, so I didn't know where he was, and I didn't really care. It was college. Before I wanted to go take a break real quick. Watts. What we were talking about is the Sony PS5 is rumored to be getting PS3 games natively. And I was going to ask, did you buy your PS5 to play PS3 games?
I didn't. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, so there's definitely some games from, that era that I'd be interested in playing. It's just, I don't know when I'm going to have the time to do that. Because, like, the past 2 years have been insane for game releases. I feel like it's just constant. It's slowing down a little bit now into this year, but it's just been constant nonstop. I don't think I'll have time.
It's not even that it's just constant. These games are bigger than ever too.
They are.
Like everything's 100 hours, and God, Ubisoft.
Dude, Rebirth.
Everything
Rebirth,
doesn't need to be.
dear Lord, Rebirth is. Really
I don't even know where I'm at on that. I haven't beat it either.
I'm gonna be honest. Not only did that game not sell well, I don't know too many people that beat Rebirth. It's just too long, man. It's too much.
It's super long,
and I don't feel like they changed the formula enough to where like I feel compelled to beat it. I know I will eventually, but I'm just like, God damn, man. Like, could this been like maybe 20 hours? Did it need to be 100? Like,
it's crazy.
I'm not in the mindset anymore, especially as a content creator now, to go back and play anything from yesteryear.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
People don't understand that. You got to stay on top of stuff because that's what people are talking about. People are asking me, oh, you're going to do a new game 3+ run on Elden? I'm like, no, Wukong's about to come out, bro. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to retire after the DLC. Like, I've had my fun with it. Maybe one day I'll come back if I want to revisit it, but I don't know. But speaking of the PS3 games to PS5, that being a rumor, the reason, like I said earlier, that it became like super hyped on social media is like people were getting super excited about it, and it was confusing me because like there's been so many reports of like Sony ponies not purchasing their exclusive games that they claim are the greatest RPGs of all time. And there's more evidence of it. While you guys are getting excited about PS3 games coming to PS5, there's now reports that Sony is allegedly pulling PSVR 2 funding. because nobody's buying it. Any insight? Like, have you had any interest on it, Watts? Like the PSVR 2? They need your help.
No, I haven't. It's I don't want to sit there with the thing on my face playing the game. Like, I just don't want to do that. And I think VR is still at a point where it's not quite there, right? Like I think it's really cool for experiences. I think there's some really cool experiences and experience games that you can have, but in terms of me playing like a full-on game for hours in VR, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yep, I can't go 30 minutes without getting nauseous.
That's the thing. Yep.
Samurai Zero 2 coming to PSVR 2?
I have no comment.
He contributed his 10%, man.
What about you, Jay? What's going on? Why the Sony fans not buying a PSVR 2?
That's a great question. I would love to ask the Sony pony why you're not investing in the
greatest platform of all time.
Yeah, man. Like that's really interesting. I don't think that really anyone has the answer on that side as to why. But I know we talked about if it was the last time, it was a previous podcast that they didn't even stop just making PSVR 2s because they have so many now. They just halted
in a
production.
warehouse.
So you go from halting production to now the funding being pulled. That should be very telling. You know, why are you not playing the games? And I remember we talked about this years ago. Like it's been pretty much over a decade now that we've been doing this podcast. And I remember you got the HTC Vive, TBH, and that was very short lived for you. And I remember we had this conversation a decade ago. You know, where is VR? Like, are we there yet? And I said back then, 10 years ago, that we're not there. 10 years have passed. We're still not there.
We're
like,
not.
That's crazy.
We're really not.
And I don't even feel like we're close.
Had some advances. Yeah, like we're still not close. That's crazy.
You know, it's funny, since that Vive came out, not only do I have a Vive, I have a Meta Quest 2. I got that when it first came out. I know there's a 3 now. And even still, like, I feel like with the Meta, the Oculus side of things, they put out more headsets than games. Like, every year they announce it. Well, the eye tracking is faster. Okay. Where's the games, buddy?
Beat Saber. There you go, buddy.
Wait. In defense of
Beat Saber's fun. That's the one thing that I do.
Meta, for the third one, they launched like 2 big games and they got like 990s plus.
Yeah, you played them?
No, because I don't got one.
All right, well, somebody, what's the cash app? What's the cash app? Somebody donate my man so you can get one.
Yeah, if you buy it for me, I'll review it. I'll play all those games. Look, I got vertigo. You want to see me vomit? I'll do it.
Hell
nah. Live. Yeah.
Hell nah.
That seems to be the constant issue. All y'all said get migraines, vertigo. Like we're just
I'm too old for VR. Okay, my brain can't keep up.
And I'd imagine it gets worse the older you get. So why would I want to play it?
That's for sure. It has to.
Oh nah. And you know what sucks too, keeping it in the realm of Sony and like cutting production. There's also an articles that came out that said Sony's reportedly gradually stopping production of Blu-ray discs. Like right now they're slowing down, and they said they have intentions to stop it altogether. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because one thing I feel like a conversation that's been repeating on this podcast is the concept of digital hardware, people in the companies being able to pull it. Basically like physical hardware being more important than ever, because I feel like this is a sign. Don't just look at it as movies. Keep in mind these PS5 and 4 games, they run on Blu-rays. Who's to say at some point Sony stops making discs for the games, which I think that becomes a scary future where it's all digital. Because to add one more article that I have on here just this week, and I swear this stuff is popping up more and more, Forza Horizon 4 has been delisted due to licensing issues. It's been pulled digitally. And then you got Sony talking about they're slowing the production on Blu-rays. Should we be scared, Watts? Do you care about physicals?
So I didn't used to, right? I think we all went through that where it's like, I'm just going to buy the digital. I can play it right away. I don't have to like go queue up at midnight to get something right away. But we're seeing that more and more and more where you're just losing access to stuff that you own. And I guess if you have it digitally, you don't ever actually own it, which I think it really sucks. And I've had friends for a while now that are like, I get physical everything. I will not buy digital at all because they saw that this was happening. It's mostly my friends who are in like retro games, because right now you're having to pay like $500 for one retro game.
Oh, Ace just put it in the group chat. Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast is going for $500. Yep.
And that's pretty normal for a lot of those retro games. So all of my friends who are into playing retro games still, they're like, I get physical every single time, unless it literally doesn't have a physical version that ever comes out. But even then, I have someone that waits like a year, 2 years to play it until they can get the physical. So, yeah, it's definitely more important than ever. Companies can just take your stuff away. So something that we're also seeing is it's currently impossible to play like so many games in general that I would really love if games could start doing remakes where it's actually, it's on Steam. I can get it on Steam. It's there forever. So it's not just on the 3DS somewhere that you can't play it anywhere else. And
The
then
Vita.
again, you have on the Vita, where you got to spend $700 to get the game, and like God knows how you're gonna get a Vita. I would love to see companies in general just put their games on a modern platform so we don't lose them. I don't want to lose media.
Yeah. I feel like during the launch of the PS5 and the Xbox Series, like that first couple years, I was only buying digital just because like one thing about getting older, moving is a bitch, bruh. And like I realized that, especially moving from Florida to LA, I still have all my old PS3, Xbox 360 games, PS4. It was just like a lot of boxes, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm kind of done collecting. So I didn't collect for like 2 years, and then these articles started popping up, and I swear to God, maybe the last 4 podcasts, I've had a similar article to what I just was showing everybody, and I'm like, all right, it's kind of starting to scare me. I want to be able to play at least. My new rule is games I don't really care about, like an NBA 2K. If I'm interested in that, I'll get it digital, whatever. But games I genuinely care about, I'm starting to buy them again. Like I bought a hard copy of Stellar, and then I just bought, even though I got it on PC, I will never open this. I bought the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree edition. I was like, I'm just going to throw it in the closet because who knows? They could pull it off Steam at any point. It's like, what if I want to play the game? So like, or if I want to sell it one day because it's worth a lot of money because people don't be collecting like that. So that's kind of like where I'm at. Where you at on this topic, Jay? How you feeling about it?
Yeah, going back to what Watt said, like it does suck with all those retro games. Like there are still a lot of games that, I never got the chance to play. And, even though I said that, I have no interest in going back and playing a lot of those older games, there still would be something like if I had like infinite time that I would be interested to try to go play. But, just my life right now, it's almost impossible to try to go back and play this stuff. And I wish I could have, in hindsight, saved a lot of my consoles and games. But, GameStop got me and FOMO got me back in the day. I was
$20.
like, how much you gonna give me? How much you gonna give me for my console? Like,
Crackhead, I need to
trade
it.
Yeah. I was one of those guys. I didn't, I have a lot of money and I just wanted the, the latest and greatest. So FOMO definitely got me in my younger years. And I've been getting some digital for a while now, especially being on PC. Steam is there, whatever other storefront that you like, all the stuff is there. But I am definitely scared about the whole just delisting whenever they feel like it. Whether licensing issues or whatever other excuse that they these companies want to give.
We want to keep the servers online, so we're gonna take the game down.
Like that stuff sucks. Like I get it. Like if it's a multiplayer online game and it comes to end of life, and I do understand the cost that it has to keep a game running, especially if it's multiplayer only and it has no single player campaign. So I understand that aspect, but still taking it off of whatever platform that it is, it does suck because it could be your favorite game, at the time, and for you to not be able to play it anymore just because you don't have a physical copy. It does suck. So that's the part that I'm really scared of. And it's talking about the Blu-ray situation. Back in my day, we had VHS and Betamax, and then we went to DVDs. And you remember HD DVD when they were going at it with Sony and Blu-ray.
That was a terrible time. Blu-ray versus HD DVD. Right?
It was
too much options.
Yeah, but we were there, right? There was a small community that loved HD DVD. They're like, oh, I'm all about Microsoft. Like this is my thing, and then they ended up losing, and Blu-ray ended up being the next standard. But there's going to be no more physical standard after that. Like we're not going to have an evolution of a physical Blu-ray anymore, right? It's just all going to be digital. It's going to be in the cloud. So unfortunately, that's it's inevitable. That's where we're going to be at. So for everybody who does care about like your favorite parts of media, just do what you can, unless you are willing to, again, we talk about the FOMO conversation. If you just really, really want that game and you don't have it anymore and you want it physical, and you're going to have to pay a premium, unfortunately, in order to get it. And you know it's going to suck. And again, it's not going to change your overall experience, but, you know, for nostalgia purposes or just for, you know, overall collection purposes, if that's what you want to do, then, you know, that's what you're going to have to pay. It's the price you're going to have to pay to get it. So it does suck. I don't want it to go to a situation where more and more of these games end up going away and you just can't play them at all. They're just gone from existence forever. And I hope that, you know, that we can do what we can in order to preserve things. Like, even if it comes to like the community in itself, like doing what we can to try to preserve, you know, all these different forms of media, then, you know, so be it.
The corporate bullshit is what scares me the most, not just them pulling the game. I'm scared of them doing some Disney Vault shit, because like there are certain games where like I enjoyed it, I don't really care if I ever play it again, but like I would like to always have the option to revisit Mass Effect. Like every once in a while I get the itch to play it again, and like I don't want to live in a world where they pull it off of Steam and then they put it back on 20 years later and be like, oh, the Steam Vault, and then they try to upcharge you for like $120 for that shit. Like, you never know when you're gonna see it again. I hope we don't get to that fucking place, because you know how these corporations are. Ethos, Samurai Zero, is it physical copies? We selling those?
No comment, but I can say the game was designed that even if a servers would go down, it's still fully playable. So that was something I wanted to do. I just wanted early on to be like, no matter what, if you downloaded it and put it on LAN with like your friends, you'd still be able to play the game, even if I'm long gone and dead. So, yeah, I feel like that was like kind of a core thing that, when I was talking to my programmer when we were designing the backend for the game, that was something like that was a key tenet that we were just like, we wanted to kind of bring back like how like old school Halo felt, where we just wanted to make sure like, can we just make sure the game runs? Like if we turn the servers off, could the game still play, and not just be like how so many games have ended up now, where they shut down the game and you boot them up now and all you see is the title screen and they don't do anything. They literally just do nothing. So yeah, I wish more developers would have the ability, because I don't blame them. A lot of it's the publisher. But I do wish that more developers do get that ability when they make multiplayer games to make an offline mode, make a mode where you don't have to connect to the EA server or to the Activision server or to some server to log into the game. Find some way to make an offline way. I think it's going to be so important for the future, because how long do we know until we'll be able to play Anthem?
It's weird. I've been getting a lot of Anthem streams on my TikTok For You page. People are playing it.
People are still playing.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen at least 5 in the last 2 weeks. It was really weird.
Actually a small group of people who are just like, it's like a $2, $3 game, and they're just playing it. And
they genuinely love it.
And they like it. They like it a lot.
It was just missing some end game stuff. It was missing a couple things, right? Mm-hmm. But like when we compare it, especially to games that are coming out trying to be a live service game, Anthem was one of the best that tried to do it.
Yeah.
These new ones have been worse than Anthem.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? One of my neighbor across the street, he had a conversation. He was like, "Yeah, I was playing Anthem." I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Man, we were playing that years ago."
Right, what is happening?
I was thinking about it.
Missed what happened, but
I was thinking about it too, because I was like, I mean, we've all said before, I was like, I still don't think to this day any developer has made, hopefully whatever Iron Man game EA is working on will be able to accomplish it, but I don't think any of them have made it feel like how Iron Man feels. That's the first game that, like, when you play the assault javelin, like, it felt like you're playing Iron Man. Like, that power fantasy was like perfect in Anthem. And like, if they turn it off, it's like, imagine if like a future developer wants to like use Anthem as a reference, just to, like, I want to play it so I can get the game feel. Like I need to feel how the game felt so I can try to replicate that in like a future game. And they just turn the servers off. That's lost to the time. Like, unless you're a developer who has the old file, like,
inspiration.
There's no way you can do that. Yeah. Like there's like so many developers, like when they build their games, a lot of them are just like, they're playing other people's games. Like, that's where a lot of the how you can get good at making games is just, you got to play a lot of games, and you can't do that if the servers are off and you can't play them. So yeah, I
think it's funny that we're even having this conversation about Anthem, because I just Googled. I was like, when did that come out? It was 5 years ago. I could have sworn 5 years ago. We predicted on this podcast that like there's gonna come a point on YouTube, not now, maybe give it like another 5 years.
It's gonna happen.
The video essays are coming. Was Anthem that bad? Did it deserve that?
Anthem was underrated. Yeah.
Revisionist history.
The new genre, boy. That's great. It's funny we're having this conversation too about game preservation. Because I remember one time I did bring up on the podcast, we were talking about the natural evolution of consoles. And one of the things I said that I was like, yo, I could see a world where I would hope that it's just an option and not just like a sole thing, but like an all-in-one. Like, you know how you have all-in-one computers and all-in-one TV where they just put the gaming PC or the console inside of the TV, and then you can mount it to your wall and just play games. Funny enough, this week, Amazon announced that they are partnering with Xbox for an Amazon Fire TV that has gaming in it. It'll have the cloud built into it, the Xbox Cloud or whatever. So it doesn't have the parts to run games internally, but I feel like this is a small step towards it. You'll be able to mount it to your wall or put it on your desk, and then you'll be able to stream games from that TV with the app. You don't need any other Xbox stuff, and it comes with a controller. And which, by the way, if you're in the market for a new TV, Amazon Fire TVs, I have one. They're actually pretty good, and they're cheaper. I thought they'd be trash, but I was glad I took that risk. I was like,
I was literally about to ask. I was about to ask the chat that question because we're looking for a new TV. So I don't know.
You might want to hold out on this.
What's the best TVs out there now?
I think
Amazon. Wait, they do a fire sale on them because I got my.
That's where I got mine
years ago, and that's why I was like, holy crap, this is like a 70-inch TV.
I got a 60 for 300.
Yeah, it was like under 200. I was like, whoa, what the? And I was like, I clicked on it. I was like, I don't care. It's like it's under 200. I gave it to my parents.
Is it fast?
Yes, it has. I paid for 1,000 plus for like a Samsung 75-inch that I have in the living room, and then I have a 55 in my bedroom that Amazon. It was like 300 on sale for the Amazon Prime. It's the same quality, bro. I was like, oh, I think they're trying to undercut competition. That's why it's so cheap.
Just be careful of Amazon will be listening to you. That's the only thing. The TV does.
Turn that shit off, bro.
You think it really turns on?
You're so.
I would just start saying weird shit. Start saying weird shit.
ALEXA is always listening.
They're always listening, even when that red light is on.
But yeah, it's gonna have cloud streaming built into it. I was like, fuck, I just got that TV last year. I was like, damn, I would get this one because I would like something I could just put on my damn wall, and if I want to stream games, just grab a controller and lay on the couch and like play or whatever.
That does sound kind of nice.
Yeah, I might need to take a look at that because I remember when Samsung is actually in this article as well that Samsung TV were the first ones, the later version. Because I have a Samsung TV now, but it's an older version. I know the later versions allow you to do the same thing, and now they have it in the Amazon Fire Stick. So that's cool. But the one thing I was just confused about is Amazon is still trying to get their video game division off the ground and their cloud stuff off the ground. So they have Amazon Luna. So I wonder why they made this collaboration with Microsoft. Was it just
who own a Luna?
Huh?
Who own a Luna?
Nobody.
The only time I ever see anybody talk about that is they'll do like random like sponsorships for like Twitch streamers, and that shit always cracks me up because I'm like, first of all, get your bag. I ain't gonna criticize it, but it is funny. Like, come on, you don't use that shit. Cut it out.
Yeah, no, damn well, you ain't playing nothing on there. Anything on there. So yeah, so that's interesting. I'm like, Amazon. It was saying in this article that like Microsoft has all the tech for it. Them and Nvidia were the two main players that have the tech for cloud gaming, and Amazon, as big as they are, they're still behind in the tech. So they were saying that might be a possible reason why they just did this collaboration. Maybe they're just trying to get in bed with them, get good, and maybe they can share some tech with them, so Amazon can end up getting themselves on the ground. But like I said, I don't know. Amazon, again, as big as they are, they're behind. Like, I don't think that they should really try to get into games, but it's inevitable. They're gonna try.
Yeah, I think it'd be something cool, like an option if you're balling on a budget, or maybe you got like kids or something like that, and like you don't want them touching your PlayStation or your Xbox. Like, let's go stream a game on the TV. Like, leave me alone. Like, give them a controller. It could work out. Just an option that I'm putting out there. Nothing too crazy. This was an interesting article. I realize I messed up the link, but I mean, I'll just read it to y'all. And talking about game developers, they were polled. And out of the thousands that they polled in terms of game developers, 60% reported that the industry is in a rough space. And the main things they cited was investors, mismanagement, and just interference, basically. And as a game developer, I wanted to get some insight on this, Ethos. What do you think is meant by mismanagement? So you got some inside info. I could
speak, but I will not want to speak on specifics because I don't want to get in trouble. Yeah, there's been a lot. Part of it is definitely like studios like overshooting. And then a lot of it has been, I don't understand this. A lot of my frustration this past year has been so many investors and publishers, I guess, through their infinite knowledge, thought that all the crazy sales and boosts they were getting through the pandemic were going to stay and increase. And the moment the pandemic got out of there, everything went down. People started going outside and things started to normalize back to like a normal level. If not going down more, they went down more than normal because obviously people ain't been outside in forever. So now they want to go outside. They don't want to be playing video games. So like they overshot projections extremely. And it caused like a lot of mayhem, a lot of like layoffs. Like the reason why I'm just thinking off the top of my head was like like when Bungie had thought that they were going to hit I forgot what it was. It was like over like they missed their target by like over
a lot.
It was like
I can't remember.
Do you remember the percentage? It was like an insane percentage.
But it was super high.
It was super high. It was like, what? Why would you think that? And like and it was apparently it was one of the contributing factors about why then they had their layoffs that they had to do and stuff like that. And that's not just even Bungie. That's just Xbox. Boom, same thing. Like everybody, they're all just Sony. They're just shooting studios out of the sky. I don't understand. I just feel like if all four of us could sit in this room and come to that common solution, why the hell did someone with a master's degree in business fail to see that coming? It's mind-boggling when we sit here and we think about that. And I don't have an answer for it. I don't know if it must be just corporate greed. Maybe it's capitalism. I don't know, but that's mainly the reason why. And it makes a lot of the people on the ground that really matter, like the people who are actually making your games, it makes everything uncomfortable. It makes them have anxiety because you don't know when you're going to get the X. And how can they perform their jobs to the best of their ability? They're terrified of next week, they might be gone and not have work. So
I think it's I refer to it as the human element. It's capital. The great thing about capitalism is it allows us free market people to compete, but on the other side, you have the human element where people just become greedy and blinded by money, and they fail to realize that gaming, no matter how successful it is, you will never have 100% gamers on Earth. It's not possible. Gaming is a niche, and then within that niche, you have genres which are also niches, and some people only play certain niches within the niche. So there's no way for you to continue to scale whatever game that you're trying to make because I thought they thought it was an infinite money glitch. They failed to realize, like kind of what you said. We were in the pandemic. Everybody was in the house. So, of course, they was going to be putting up Jordan numbers. But the world is kind of evened out. I feel like it was a gold rush that happened. And the gold rush is over. And people are getting humbled, basically.
Yeah.
What about
you can't have infinite growth no matter what, right?
Facts,
it's like there's going to be a limit of how much you can grow. So we're seeing the same thing with like Boeing, right? And everything Boeing's going through where they want some other shit infinite growth. Well, that is some other shit.
But go ahead.
I'm not even going to say what they're doing. I'm scared. But yeah, it's if you're trying to chase after infinite growth, there's going to come a point where you cannot do that. And then it all falls apart. Like I don't know why they don't understand that. It is impossible for you to grow forever. There's only so many people on this earth. And even if every single person built into it, you can't even go past that. So I don't get it either. I think it was pretty clear to a lot of people that it was not going to infinitely grow. And you didn't just see people hiring a lot. They were also getting like new buildings, getting a state-of-the-art new studio. And I'm like, why?
Why are you not retaining your staff, your knowledge, your the people that are building games? Why? No, we need new microwaves.
It's classic
for people to not even be in there in the beginning of the pandemic because everybody was working remotely.
That's why they wanted. That's why they rushed everybody back into those buildings. They spent so much
money.
Right. We better use this.
I think another thing that they're not taking into consideration is they're just not understanding the market and the people. Like people are down bad right now. I mean, y'all saw the debate. Our leadership right now is crazy. People are hurting for cash right now. Inflation is through the roof, and you're upset that you can't grow another 25%. Don't nobody got no money on average. Like, what are you talking about? Right? So I think they're a little bit out of touch with what's going on with the people and reality. And
billionaires are out of touch.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I know, right? Shocker.
It's like, yo, maybe you guys should bring back the AA games where you're not blowing. Every game doesn't need to be $100 million plus. Okay, maybe we need to experiment a little bit more, bro. You'd have more money for marketing.
I'll say the meme, and I 100% stand by it, and I mean it with the utmost truth. We need developers to make smaller games with less graphics, that are smaller bits of games that don't require me to play 100 hours of them. I'm perfectly fine with playing those games. They need to relax, and games that don't take goddamn 5-7 years to make.
Can I also add on something to do? This is from the consumer standpoint too, because I've seen this argument a lot too. Be a good consumer. I'm seeing a lot of gamers that like to dismiss games because they're not 100 hours. Because to be fair, there are a lot of people that will not buy a game unless it's like X amount of hours. And I keep trying to tell you, like, yo,
and it doesn't look graphically the most insane thing they've ever seen.
More does not make it better. I'd rather play a 10-hour game over and over that's a fucking masterpiece than a 100-hour game that's a collectathon like Ubisoft games. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like on the flip side, like, come on, be good consumers too. What's your insight on this, Jay?
I mean, I get both sides of like that argument. Like with consumers, they want their money's worth, and they feel like a 70 to 100 hour game, if they only buy 1 to 3 games a year, then that'll consume the majority of their time. But I think again, we've gotten too consumed with that as a consumer, because that's not. Yeah, because you're losing out on the quality. You think that just because it's a 100-hour game that it has quality, and you know the wool has gone over your eyes, because you know there are a lot of games that you're dismissing that are 10 to 30 hours that are of quality, and in some cases even better quality than those other games that have a lot of fluff in them. And again, going back to Ubisoft, it's a lot of fluff, it's a lot of icons around it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a better game. It's just going to take more of your time, you know. And I don't know if anyone on this earth has infinite amount of time, but I'm sorry, I definitely do not. You know, I'm a responsible adult and father, and it's impossible for me. But just going back to dialing back to the conversation on poor market conditions, yeah, it's really what you all say, like mismanagement and these greedy investors, man. It's just, they really just messed everything up and just had super duper unrealistic expectations. I mean, it even happened in my sector, like, and during the pandemic, we lost a lot of money. We weren't profitable during the pandemic years, and you know, we're trying to do our best. The execs are trying to do their best to right their wrongs, but you know, it's tough when you have the execs who just care about money. They're just like, hey, like, do whatever you need to do in order to make us money. That's generally it. They don't care what it is. They just want you to try to find whatever way that you can in order to be profitable, and that's not necessarily the way that you should go about any type of business, you know, let alone the video game industry, because you're dealing with people's lives. And again, you can make mistakes, but there's a difference between $1 million mistake and a $20 million mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's a huge difference between that. You can lose a little bit of money. You're not going to make, you know, every shot that you take, but again, you need to be a little bit smarter, and you know, not everybody needs to chase all of these video game metas when we're just talking about the video game industry, because again, we talked about how 90% of game studios are trying to make live service games. Not everybody needs to make a freaking live service game. Like, this is actually one of the worst metas that I feel like we've been in a long time when it comes to video games, period. I could deal with the MOBA era. You know, we're in the Souls era right now. I get it. You know, it's fine. It's cool. I love Souls games, so you know, I'm dealing with it. But we've been through so many metas of the Battlegrounds era, the BR era. Like, we've been through so many different eras, and like, none of them really bother me, because again, they came and went. But this era, this live service era, is literally like probably the most toxic, and it's the most resource heavy as well. And people again are losing their jobs because all these live service games are failing, because you cannot spend all of your time on all of these live service games, and one person cannot do it. It's just not going to work. Like, you would rather, again, just make a 10 to 30 hour game and be done with it. Make your profit from that, make it of quality, and you'll be set. You don't got to make a service game. So it's a lot of bad choices that are being made. But a lot of people just don't know about the video game industry.
I don't think they play games like
us as consumers really. Yeah, no, they don't. They're out of touch. The wrong people have gotten up to the spots, to the highest spots in these companies.
The numbers guy.
You can tell. The numbers guy needs to know about the industry. You need to understand about it. Just because you know business doesn't mean you know about this business.
And that's why I didn't put it on the show notes, but I remember because I read the article on stream. That's why I was happy Miyazaki also said in an interview when asked about the future of From Software, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines. They were asking like, oh, are you going to make something even bigger than Elden Ring in the future? And he was like, nah. He's like, that's not the future of the company. We're going to make what we want. Like, at scale, we feel like Elden Ring is like, that's it. But like, that's too much pressure on the developers. So like, we're going to go back to making smaller games. And I was like, yes, make what the fuck you want. Don't get caught up in trying to make just big ass games for no damn reason. I was like, that's what I like to hear. And I also like the fact that he said that.
That was great to hear.
Yeah, 25 million sales, but we're going to make something bigger. Like, that would be, from a greedy standpoint, what an exec would do. Yeah.
That's so typical of what the higher ups would do, where it's like, okay, we made 25 million from this game. I'm going to need you guys to make a bigger game, more hours. And that's how it ends up happening. So for him to say, look, this is the limit of our studio. This is it, without us going on crazy hiring sprees. And when you go on crazy hiring sprees, you end up having to lay people off. It kind of reminds me of there was an interview that one of the community managers did for Monster Hunter on a podcast, and he was talking about how Capcom rarely hires. Like, they very, very, very rarely hire for positions, because when they do, they know that it's a position that they need and they're going to need it basically forever. Whereas you don't really see that with a lot of these other companies. They're just hiring like crazy. And another thing you'll also see is that a lot of higher ups at game dev companies, they won't trust their developers to just make what they hired them to do. Yeah. They're always like, well, we think you should do this. We think you should do this. And that's probably what the interference part was in that article. They're being interfered with their process because the developers know more than likely better than what the higher ups, the execs know about what to make in what to do with the game, what the players want. And you end up having all this interference and it ends up not working. That's
corporate America, period. That's what happened at G4. I get there. I think I'm supposed to talk about games. I get there. You're the shooter guy. What? I play more games than all y'all. What the fuck are you talking about? Shit is crazy. Suits think they know. They think they know everything, but there is a beacon of light. Some of my favorite games, because we're talking about length, like some of my favorite games, like Star Fox 64, you can beat that game in like an hour. Has some of the best quotes in gaming history. So it's like, it doesn't need to be, I'm not saying every game should be an hour, but everything doesn't need to be like super long. This quote also is really interesting, this article, because it pertains to this conversation. A former PlayStation executive by the name of Sean Layden, he had an interview with Game Industry Biz, and he said two things that were very interesting to me. And he said, people need to stop obsessing over realistic graphics and game length. Those are two recommendations from him. He also pointed out that only 32% of players are finishing the games they start. So developers are making a lot of games that 68% of people aren't seeing. Now, this is an article from Game Industry Biz, so like there's some reputation there. But I would love to know, where the fuck did he get that number? Because now I'm on Fraud Watch for real. Remember, 60% of gamers do not play new games. You play games that are 6 years or older. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Madden 2K, Roblox, Fortnite. But then on top of that, when you do play a game, almost 70% of you aren't even beating the game. This is fucking crazy to me.
That is insane.
But y'all in my chat trying to tell me how to play? I saw, this is going on the show notes. Ethos, give me some insight. You a game developer. Why you think people ain't beating their games? And why are they obsessed with graphics? They just like looking at games.
I don't know. I beat my games. I don't know.
That's debatable.
Oh man, don't
give me a game. Give me a game. What a game recently. Give me a game recently.
Shit.
Go ahead. Give me one.
Did you beat Shadow of the Erdtree?
I'm in the middle of playing that right now. That doesn't count.
This dude, see, man, come on, bro.
I haven't beat it. What are you talking about?
I'm just fucking with you. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
I actually started. I didn't.
Shit. Oh, my
Those are the big
goodness.
ones. There's some games that I think like I just like I'll lose interest in, and I was like Dragon's Dogma was a great example. You beat that, but me and JG, I think we all had the same thing where we got to the halfway point, and you was like,
I'm not even mad you didn't beat it. That shit was ass.
Yeah, you told me it was like it ain't worth it, dog. Don't go through another 60 hours, and I was like, oh, okay, and I stopped playing it. Like those games exist, but like for those games, there's a bunch of other games where like if I am engaged with it, I'm gonna beat it. I try to beat all the games that I set myself out to be, unless like there's just a busy schedule and there's just so many games. I think half it might just be the engagement factor. Like maybe those gamers just aren't fully engaged with the said product and they just don't finish it. I think another half of it has to do is, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. This next generation, not us, but the
iPad
generation
kids,
bro, they're cooked. They can't watch a cutscene. Yeah. They can't even pay attention for like 5 minutes. To just like the ADHD just kicks in, bro. Like they can't pay attention for nothing, unless like they see something moving or they're interacting with it somehow. So I think that plays a role into it, and like their interest just leaves them fast. I think that's why there's so many live service games are just getting killed. It's just jump to the next thing, jump to the next thing, jump. It never stops.
Dopamine overdrive.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I agree with what you say. I mean, there's just a lot of frauds.
Definitely.
It's just. I think it is. Gaming has in the past decade, or I'd say decade and a half, it has gotten to become more popular and more mainstream. And I think we have like a group of people who have never played gaming. I don't, and I'm not mad at these people. The people that never really played gaming, but they got into it because of the pandemic, and now they're playing it. Like I know a couple friends like that, and you also know like they're now expanding, and now like, oh, I'm gonna try this game, I'm gonna try this game, I'm gonna try this game now. Games like normally they would like I never gave them a chance. That's awesome, that's great. But there's definitely been a lot of people I feel like because of how popular it's become, they might have played a game when they were like a kid, but they weren't really into it. And now that it's it's the cool thing now. I think in pop culture it's not just the nerdy thing, it's the cool nerdy thing. Now you just have people who are just jumping on, and now they're just these people who just play it for a couple hours and that's it. And you know, there's people who just got jobs, they got lives, they got kids. They can't play these 30-hour games. So yeah,
I found the article to be very interesting because they referenced Red Dead Redemption 2, and I was just like, that's crazy, because I got so much shit because I didn't beat Red Dead Redemption. I thought the beginning was boring. I was like, I believe y'all it gets better. I don't care to find out. The shit was boring in the beginning. I quit. And I'm like, I'm looking at this statistic. I'm like, I don't think y'all beat it either. So y'all was just hating on me.
Did it.
What you think of this all?
A lot of people, dude. So there's, I know for a fact actually of some people that are in Twitch chats, and they know everything about every game, and I'm like, you're not playing them. They're watching, like they watch a playthrough as soon as the game comes out. 30 minutes after the game releases, they're like, let me tell you.
You are on the fucking money. I'm telling you, when these kids...
They watch the Rad Brad.
They watch the Rad Brad. And they equate that to them playing the game, bro. And they say, oh yeah, no, I played all these games. No, you watched the walkthrough. You were broke, couldn't afford it, and you watched the walkthrough. Not saying nothing wrong with doing that. I'm just saying, but that's not the equivalent of actually playing the game itself. You just watch money on YouTube while play it.
It's also... definitely doesn't give you the right to be like, here, let me tell you how to beat this thing. I'm like,
talk your shit, Talk your shit.
Oh no, I've seen it.
They're probably more than we do.
I've seen it. There's a section in Shadow of the Erdtree, the hinterlands. It's like a secret area, and when you get there, there's 2 tree centennials that are guarding an item you need for the final boss. And I got there.
Can you Google me where
it's you. I got you. I'll teach you how to get there. I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't have found it if it wasn't for the chat. They told me, and I had the emote. There's an emote you have to do in front of a statue.
There's
I got
an emote you need to.
Yeah. So when you get in there, there's 2 tree sentinels you have to get past. You can just run past them to get to an item for the final boss. When I got to that area, somebody in the chat was like, man, be careful. It's 2 tree sentinels right there, man. You're going to get your ass beat. That's when I had one of the moments. I'm like, yeah, y'all don't play no games. I got over there. I watched both of them in like less than 5 minutes. Like I just destroyed them. I'm like,
dude,
you still...
Tree Sentinel's nothing compared to the new bosses.
You still think this shit is hard?
They old stuff.
But he was like, no, it's 2 of them. You got to be ready. I was like, so this is how I know people don't play games. I said, did you beat the base game? Yeah, I did. I said, well, you should know there were 2 tree sentinels in one area of the base game where you were walking up some stairs and they jump you.
Yeah.
I watched them in there too. I was like, they're not hard, bro. Like, what are you talking? I'm like, I don't play no games, bro.
You're spitting facts.
Tree Sentinel was only terrible
at the beginning because you didn't know.
Playing, and we didn't know that we could just mosey on by him, and he watched us in the beginning, but nah.
So how does this make you feel to know that 70% of people probably will never beat your game, Ethos? Samurai Zero.
Well, my game doesn't have a completion thingy, so I don't really care. I guess it would be how many levels they get at that point, which I would be like, okay, I don't really care. Like, if you play it, you play it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
You say, I got my money. I don't care.
Yeah, like you gave me your money. I don't care. Yeah.
Well,
what do you think that other quote he gave, JG, is accurate? People are too obsessed with graphics.
Yeah, no, they are. Remember, we had this conversation, back when we were PC elitists, right? They were like, hey, how you care about the graphics? I'm like,
No.
when did y'all start caring about it? They start caring about it, when the PS4.
I ain't playing no game in 60 frames.
Came out, it was like, oh my god! I was like, bro, we've been had this. Like, calm down. like it's all right. Like, you're just now experiencing somewhat of what we were already experiencing, and then they start caring about the frame rate. They're like, no, I don't really care about the graphics that much. Now I care about the frame rate. I'm like, once again, like we've already been past.
We lost the plot.
I'm like, we're not trying to hear this from you. Going back to what TBA said, like you're not qualified to sit here and have this conversation, with us, because we're not, like, we've been past that. Like, it's not a huge priority for me. Like, I care more about performance than graphics, and I've been like that for a long time, especially after being a PC gamer for over a decade now, a hardcore one. So yeah, people do heavily obsessed with that. If we have 4K, 8K is becoming a thing. They're saying that the new consoles are going to have 8K, and I'm like, yeah, right. Like, you can barely do 4K.
Checkered board.
Barely do 4K. Let's not talk about 8K right now. Like, that's not going to excite anybody. Like, it would excite somebody who truly doesn't know about it, and you're just chasing, the lure of, higher graphics or better graphics. So I definitely agree that people's minds are in the wrong places when it comes to, what video games are supposed to look and feel like.
Yeah, freaking yeah, interesting quote. I think people are too obsessed with things that don't matter, and just enjoy the games if you enjoy them, and also quit trying to have these conversations if you ain't beat these games. We know most of y'all are lying. That's why I wanted to bring that joy anyway.
And that circles back to what we were saying about Elden Ring, right? Where it's the art direction that makes you sit there and go, damn, this is beautiful. Even Ghost of Tsushima, you get close up, it doesn't have crazy high fidelity graphics. It just got really good use of their art direction, their lighting, all that stuff.
Too obsessed with textures, and there's
dude, I don't care about the textures at all, especially in an action game. I'm not going to be going.
Look at all the games. Look at all the games that stand the best test of time. Games like I don't know, Beautiful Joe or
Wind Waker.
Yeah, like it's art design. It's not necessarily about, because 10 years from now, what's realistic will look dumb as hell. Like, so it's like you might as well just focus on trying to create a unique experience versus trying to be hyper realistic all the time. There's gonna come a point where The Last of Us looks goofy. And this is interesting that conversation is perfectly, it segues into the next article that I have, because despite that exec saying stop being obsessed with open world and games and graphics, Sega announced that the new Crazy Taxi will be an open world MMO style game. Is this doing anything for anybody?
I was just like, what?
But that's I see the vision. Don't get me wrong, that sounds kind of fire, but at the same time, I don't know if people are excited for MMO Crazy Taxi, to be honest with you. But yeah, I see the vision.
Yeah, I don't understand how this is gonna work. And then the video's in Japanese too, so I'm just like, okay, like I guess I'll wait for more. But they said it's gonna be a live service multiplayer model. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh man, no.
Soon as you hear that word,
I just instantly cringe.
Oh my god, we gotta pay for red paint on the damn taxi. You're like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm good off of that. What else I got for y'all? Oh, Black Myth Wukong. They had like a little media blitz like a week ago. A bunch of first impressions came out. I linked one of them that I watched. I watched several of them. Some of the big takeaways that I got from this is, for those wondering, this is not a Souls-like game. It is more of an action game that I would say looks more akin to like a Ninja Gaiden with some Souls elements in it. With but things like you don't lose all your runes or XP after you die, but there are like rest points, so that's kind of like where it's Souls-like. But the game is much more fast-paced with an emphasis on action. Some of the boss fights will be tough, but it won't be as tough as they were saying as a Souls-like. It's a more linear experience, not open world. Every impression that I saw on YouTube, everybody said that the game is fire. One, I think the video that I linked in the notes, he went as far as to say that he thinks it'll be a Game of the Year contender, which is interesting because this is this studio's first game ever. But I will say from the eye test, it looks like a bare minimum is going to be an 8 out of 10. I could be wrong. So like, I'm not going to say he's wrong that this could be a Game of the Year contender. Are you excited about Black Myth Wukong, Watts?
I am, yeah. This is, like you've been saying, this is kind of the next big game for me that I know I'm going to be playing. I'm going to play all of it. It's been really interesting, how it's been advertised, because it definitely started as, this is a Souls-like where you're playing as Wukong. And then they went to, during the, what would be E3, they went to Summer Game Fest, and they're like, not a Souls-like, not a Souls-like, not a Souls-like, action game, not a Souls-like. And then today, some more stuff came out, actually, where they're like, there's no difficulty options, bosses are quick and brutal, enemies are super, they say that the difficulty is more in line with Jedi Fallen Order, I think is what they said. But I was like, the more that I would say that, so a lot of games are taking inspiration from Souls, right? But they're not necessarily Souls-like. We saw that with Stellar Blade, where it has some stuff in there that you could be like, I can see where you got inspiration from a Souls game, but it's definitely not there. For Wukong, I'd say it's probably like 7. There's a line of where you would be on a Souls-like to action game. I think Wukong looks like it's going to be more towards like the 70% Souls game. I don't think it's going to be as difficult, but I actually read that you don't lose, there's no corpse runs, like you don't go back to get your currency, but you do drop, you just lose it when you die.
Like some of it or all of it?
I think this is some of it. You just lose it. And I was like, that's more punishing than a Souls game. I could go back and get like all of my stuff, but this I'm just losing like some of it. That's crazy. So yeah, I do think that with their hidden paths and hidden bosses, it being kind of linear, there's going to be no difficulty options. There's the bosses are super brutal is what they're saying. I feel like if you're a Souls-like player, it's probably going to be in line with that for you, but there definitely is a lot of like just straight up action game stuff going on. So I think it'll be one of those situations where I wouldn't call it a Souls-like, I would just call it an action game, but it's definitely got more inspiration from Souls than your average action game.
I was just happy to hear linear, and from all the gameplay I've seen, it looks like you run into a straight pathway. They even said in multiple videos I watched, when the demo they played, they ran fades with multiple bosses. That's what I want to hear. Like, I just want to go fight. I don't want to do everything open world. How you feeling about this one, Jay?
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be like more along the lines of Sekiro, being more of a linear style type of thing. It sounds like from the multiple articles and videos, they just don't want the label of Souls-like, which is fine. Yeah. It's fine, but if you have those elements, right? But if you have those elements, then it's going to be, it's going to be more considered a Souls-like. So if you have those in there, then it is what it is. It's fine, but if you're trying to get away from it, then I understand why you're just outright trying to tell people, hey, it's not Souls-like.
Like JG. I'm glad you brought it up, because that is kind of what the vibe I got. It's like no, Souls-like, not as hard, not as hard. And I'm like, I'm watching it and I'm like,
it looked like it, yeah. Like it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
Them Souls developers be lying too, because remember Miyazaki said Limgrave. I mean, the DLC was the size of Limgrave.
Miyazaki is like a beautiful liar. He says stuff, and it was a good lie. It was a good lie. It's what he lies. Say it's the size of Limgrave. No, it's not. That is a damn lie.
Who told you this?
So you can finish the base game of Elden Ring in 20 hours. I'm like,
God, yeah, dog.
Right.
This comes from the guy who, they asked him if he, actually played his game.
He doesn't play his game, so he doesn't know.
So how would you know? How long is it? That's so funny.
That's what my tester told me.
Right, exactly. We're back to Wukong. I think Wukong definitely gonna be a game of the year contender. It's been highly anticipated for years now. So I'm just glad that we're getting the media blitz. It's literally almost here. We're a month away, so it's gonna be great when it comes out. I'm definitely excited to finally get my hands on it after so long. When we weren't even, I said it before, like it was a chance that it wasn't even coming over here. Like in the initial testing of like the super duper alpha footage years ago, probably been like more than 5 years at this point when we first saw it. And, they didn't even know if it was coming over here. Now, look where we are. And now we're about to actually get to play it, get our hands on this soon.
That'll be, if it does get nominated, whether it wins or not, that'll be a crazy way to come out for a debut game. That'll be a studio with a lot of expectations, whatever their next game is.
I hope it does, man. Because like Lies of P got robbed at like all of those.
It should have won
awards,
something,
man. It should have won. It's like their art direction was great. Their audio was really good. Their fights were like, if you told me that was a FromSoft game, I'd go, okay. I don't totally not believe you. Like that game was really good. Really, really, really good.
First game too.
First game. So I hope
Celeblate too, right? Was that their first?
Celeblate's their first console game. Yeah.
First console game, yeah. So we got a lot of contenders in there. Yeah.
Freaking what you thinking, Ethos?
About what specifically?
Wukong. Did you watch any of the impressions?
No, I'm kind of going into it blind as possible. I haven't really watched a lot of media. So I watched like the initial blitz of stuff when they first like started talking about it. When they told me it was a Soulsborne game, I was like, that's all I got to hear. And I just stopped paying attention to it. So I'm just going to wait till it comes out. But then I heard, everybody in the DMs were talking about it. The group chat was saying, no, it's not. it's not a Soulsborne. I was like, okay. I mean, I'm not mad about this. I'm happy to play something that's not going to make me stress out. But so now I don't know. I don't know if this is like one of those things where it's like one part of the studio thinks it's not a Soulsborne, but the others are like, no, this is pretty tough for us. So I think this is like a Soulsborne. I don't know. Maybe it's just a miscommunication thing from like marketing and what the developers are building. I don't know. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it, I guess, whenever it comes out.
Okay. Well, what about this next game? Another game that got a media blitz the other day. I believe you were the one that brought it up on the last podcast you was on, Watts. The Concord, the shooter.
Yeah, they get a media blitz.
Yeah, they recently just had a bunch of first impressions released. And for those unaware, it's the game they showed off. It was announced like a year ago, but then they showed off at the State of the Play. I believe it's a 5v5 multiplayer shooter with abilities.
I think it is 5v5.
Yeah, objectives. It kind of moves. It looks like a slower pace, like Destiny. Kind of got a what is it? Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibe to it. Impressions came out. The characters are called free runners, different objectives, really vibrant, different abilities on the characters. You're the one that's most excited about this. So like, I want to hear your take on this. What did you think from the impression?
Yeah. So yeah, I watched it and I'm like, this kind of feels like if Bungie made a Destiny PvP game where you play as like the characters in Destiny instead of having, like your individual guardian. So as someone who has enjoyed Destiny PvP for like 10 years, I don't really play much anymore, but I've enjoyed it for a long time. Having a game that is dedicated to PvP that feels like that would be really exciting. The developers behind it, I do have faith that they can make it feel as good as that, but it's really just going to be the case of if I can play it and the gunplay feels at that level of Destiny, then I'll definitely be excited for it because Destiny feels incredible. And if there's a game that's purely PvP, they're not having to spread their resources between like 20 different things, then that's pretty exciting for me. But we'll see. I do tend to like arena shooters where you can respawn and it's not like you get shot one time and you're dead, or it's not like everyone has 1 billion health and you're just waiting to all pop your ult at the same time. I like Destiny PvP. So if it's anything like that, I think it'll be good. I'm very glad to hear that they are doing an open beta because you can get access early to the beta if you pre-order, but they are having like a straight up open beta because I think this game is going to rely on people getting their hands on it and feel it. And if it feels really good, then they can hook people in. But I think it's going to be a hard sell no matter what. I just hope that the gunplay feels good because there's one character that straight up looks like a Destiny hunter.
Yeah.
They've got trip mines, they've got dodge rolls.
Like Destiny.
Yeah. But they're actually going to allow you to jump and shoot, unlike in Destiny now, which they don't want you to do.
I also like that the game is only retailing for $40. So I think that's gonna entice some more people coming in, not just like the beta. But like at first glance, like looking at it, like it literally looks exactly like Destiny to me, and I think that's my main issue. It does look polished, but I don't see anything that I'm like, wow, like I can't get that from a different game. But because they're doing an open beta, I'm gonna put this in the. I'll try it and see. Like I'm kind of in the middle. Like it's like a yellow flag for me, I guess I would say. I would like to see more. It looks all right. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the preview now, the extended preview, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, are we ready for another hero shooter? Like, it's just so many. Yeah, it's so many things, and I'm just like, oh, it's another one. Like, we're literally just talking about, again, the metas now, like we're in the Souls meta, and now we have another hero shooter coming. So I just don't know, like, I can't truly gauge what gamers as a whole want, even though, we go back to the fact that people aren't playing games now. They're still playing old games. So I don't even know, like, what new game that they want to play. Like, it's so difficult. So, like, again, I don't want any game to fail. I don't want any game studio to fail. But they're going to have a hell of an uphill battle with this one. Yep. And it's a Sony shooter. So,
what that mean?
Sony has not been, they've been complaining about Call of Duty for the longest, because they said that, they need that premier shooter, and you bought Bungie and you're waiting on Marathon, but now you have this coming out, and it has the potential to compete with the Call of Duties. I wouldn't even say the Battlefield now, because I don't know what Battlefield are doing, but you're trying to compete with Call of Duty and or Overwatch now, because you're a hero shooter, and a person in this in the video literally said that this is a tie between Overwatch and Valorant. They didn't even mention Destiny, but they said Overwatch and Valorant. So again, both of those are.
I didn't see Valorant. I didn't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either.
I was like,
also,
where are you getting Valorant from?
Not to be an ass either. Too, when he said Valorant, if you pay attention to his gameplay, his aim was horrible. So I was like, I don't know. I kind of take what he said with a grain of. It was really bad. I was like, does the editor hate him? Because I was like, he was not hitting nothing.
Oh my god! So,
was it like actual like predicted recoil and stuff, like how the guns shoot in Valorant and CS:GO? Is it like that, or is it
didn't look like that?
Just
I don't think so. I would be surprised if those developers ended up doing something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, because Valorant just dropped its console beta, so I was like, that's pretty good. If you're getting rammed into that too,
yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, I want it to be like that premier shooter on the PS5, but we'll just have to see. Like Watt said, I think that the open beta has to go well. Like, it has to draw enough people in order for it to get more positive reinforcement and have people opt in to play it. But will it shake up the market? Like, will it be another one of those multiplayer live service S type games that will take some of your time away from the game that you've been playing for almost a decade now? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Call of Duty is around the way, and people are excited about that one. So, like, people are excited about the new Black Ops. So I don't know if this is going to take people's time away from that as far as shooters are concerned.
You play a lot of Destiny, Ethos. What's your take?
I'm worried that it might just be wrong place, wrong time. I think if this thing had shown up when around Overwatch 2 was getting shat on, it would have been welcomed with open arms. But I'm not gonna lie, I blame Overwatch 2. This is all Overwatch 2's fault. It's all Blizzard's fault. I feel like Overwatch kind of what Avengers, what Avengers did to superhero games? That is what Overwatch 2 has done to hero shooters. I feel like anytime someone sees a hero shooter, the first thing that comes to their mind is Overwatch 2. And everyone likes shitting on that game. And no one is excited to play any sort of stylized hero shooter right now. I feel like if they see it, even if it can play different, but it has stylized characters, they're going to say, oh, that's Overwatch 2. That's Overwatch. And now that's a negative thing. It's not a positive thing like how the OG Overwatch used to be perceived. I feel like, unfortunately, Overwatch 2 has ruined, has poisoned the well, and now this seems to be just a victim of circumstance. Another thing I'm worried about, too, is like the $40 price tag. That's going to be tough for, I feel like, especially right
free to
now in
play?
the economy. If it was free to play, I think it would have a better chance.
After Shadow, the Erdtree being $40
yeah.
too.
Because that's how gamers are gonna do. Even though the two games are two completely separate things,
Yeah.
they're gonna immediately bring up the Twitter post is gonna show up. I guarantee you, the moment this game goes, because I saw how people were just like on the neck on this. Like the moment this game got revealed, like my god,
Yeah.
like,
I feel like it got overhated.
bro, it got
I
overhated.
feel like I don't think it looked that bad, right? I was like, it just
I thought
I
gameplay
think
wise
it
it
looks
looked
fine.
It
cool,
looked mid.
but I played Destiny 2 PvP. I'm probably not as much as Watts has, but I played a decent amount of it throughout a decent amount of the lifetime of Destiny 2. And I like the PvP of Destiny 2 at some times. Other times there's
shooting feels good.
Yeah,
Right? It's like
mechanically,
Destiny shooting feels good.
yeah, the shooting feels good. I hate movement, but I love the shooting of Destiny 2. I think it's probably one of the best out there. But like this game again, it has that problem of, okay, you're showing me this, but like, why should I play this over Destiny 2? They're gonna have to answer that question. It's like,
Because they're gonna give you maps.
yeah. That's gonna be the argument. Is you gotta say, well, Bungie's kind
And
of
modes.
killed off. Like they just gave us maps, and you'll be lucky if you get more maps in the next 2 years. And people who already just don't like Destiny, they're not going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to really be excited about playing this. We've all said there's that gap, that hole about like, we need a multiplayer game to play right now. There's nothing that like the squad's like, oh, we're really excited to play multiplayer. I found one recently that I really like a lot. That I'm like, oh, this reminds me of the good old days. Yeah, I don't know if Concord is that. So we'll see.
It's kind of we all kind
We
of
could play the demo together.
Yeah. We can play the demo. Yeah.
When's the demo supposed to come out? The open beta?
It's like the 18th or somewhere around there, I think. It's this month.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah, it's this month.
Hopefully Sony supports it and like really pushes it.
Come on now.
Yeah, they don't really support their
Yeah,
games.
come on.
The company that let Final
Sorry, it's
Fantasy.
the 12th to the 14th
Yeah.
is early access, and open is 18 to the 21st.
So the 18th, I ain't paying for that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll wait till it gets open.
I'll wait.
Okay. All right. So I'll try it out. Damn, but I suck, man. I suck playing shooters on controllers, bro.
Wait, it's only on console?
I thought it was on PC.
It's on PC
Okay,
as
it's
well.
on PC as
God,
well.
okay. I was
about
gonna
to
say, I'll
man.
cancel everything.
PS5 controller is the
I
devil.
can't play a
All
shooter.
right.
With, I
I'm
just
just
can't do it.
hoping the beta. Okay, if the beta is on PC as well, because sometimes
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
PC.
I
I'm
cannot play the
I'm
PS5
going to get
controller.
cooked if I play
Yeah.
on the PS5 controller.
I'm gonna look terrible.
So that's Concord for you. That's all the gaming news I got for you. So we can move into the last segment of the podcast. We do a segment on the show called the Social Justice Warrior News. Watts, because for you, if you're not aware, JG is considered the social justice warrior of the group. Although I've been thinking about switching it to woke news because that's the new buzzword now. So what's happened since the last podcast is one of the biggest gaming content creators in the world. Well, first of all, he got banned off of Twitch like 5 years ago, and he gaslit the entire world into thinking that Twitch was this evil corporation. Then they wouldn't tell us the real reason. But reports and rumors started coming out that he had some strange interactions. He was a fan. He was a freaky ass, you know what?
You got a weird taste.
He had some weird interactions with a minor. And then more reports came out with like actual evidence. And then he even admitted to it on Twitter, although he tried to gaslit and deflect it all. So now the world is turning against Mr. Dr. Disrespect. You're a loving, responsible parent, JG. What's your take on today's latest edition of Woke News? What's going on with Dr. Disrespect? What's going on with content creators? I feel like a study needs to be done. Why do so many of these people get popular and then deal with shit's getting really weird?
Yeah, more and more news has been coming out, and I'm sure we're probably just at the thick of it. Like, I don't even think we've heard half of it because I'm seeing like more and more theories that are dropping on this situation. It's just going off of what Dr. Disrespect said, and what ended up lighting this whole thing on fire and bringing it out. Like, it's really insane that like it took us 4 years and literally everybody was hush hush outside of Slasher and another person, I forgot her name, who like said, hey, I know something but I can't say it. And then 4 years passed by, and then we finally have a former Twitch employee to say, hey, this guy did it, and everybody just knew instantly. He didn't even say it. He just said, "Hey, he got banned because he talked to a minor in whispers," and that just opened up a whole shitstorm. And then other people start coming out like, "Yup, he did it. I can confirm. And then it ended up getting to a point where Dr. Disrespect couldn't even stream because he was playing Elden Ring, because that's a meta now. You're playing Elden Ring. And literally, I'm sure that the chat was like, because I looked at his latest stream, and everybody in the comments was like, "You a fan? Like all I saw was Kendrick lyrics all in the comment section. I say, yeah, he's cooked. I was like, they not gonna let off him. And this is literally Drake all over again, just in the content creator realm with you. They're not gonna let off. And he tried to stream again. He was like, yeah, we're having high vibes, Chad, high vibes. And literally at the end of the stream, you could tell he was done. He was like, man, this is too much. I'm not gonna be able to get away from this. Let me go on vacation. And I was like, man, translation. I was like, if I did it or not, like what I potentially done, like I'm gonna take a convenient long vacation, and I hope then whenever I come back that y'all gonna forget about this and I can continue streaming, because that's the typical copy and paste, when these certain situations happen, whether they're true or not, allegations or not. That's typically what a lot of, not just content creators, but, people in the high profile period, that's what they typically do to try to just get out of the situation. And I think it got even worse for him. And that's why he, ultimately just put out this long, twit longer type of situation. Like, yeah, man, did I do it? Yep. Was it illegal? Nope. But did it sometimes get towards inappropriate stuff? Yep. And that's all people needed to hear. Like all that other stuff, like all that ego stuff, talking about, hey, y'all trying to get rid of me. I'm not fucking going anywhere. Like, just cut the bullshit. Like you said it, and I respect you for saying it after so long. All this legal stuff. I hate that it had to be this way that you and other people involved couldn't say anything because of legal jargon, NDAs, all that crap. But I also feel like on the other side of the coin that like the people who truly knew, like I felt like there should have been a statement by Twitch or somebody higher up.
They're all guilty.
Hey, yeah, I think that both sides are guilty in this situation for sure. Because there should have been something. There shouldn't have been 4 years just to have the news come out like this from I wouldn't say he's a random, because they said that this guy was highly respected, but I wasn't familiar with this particular employee. But it shouldn't have taken just one tweet to get him out the paint like this. I feel like the public should have at least known, like you didn't have to go into detail, but you could have at least said why on Twitch's standpoint, like what ended up happening. And that's why there are some more theories that are coming out that's saying that Twitch was trying to get him out the paint from the start, that they set him up on some like Chris Hansen type stuff. I'm like, man, we're getting into the deep depths of grifting right now, because y'all are trying to defend him. He said it himself that he was talking to a minor. Now, whether he got set up and it was a former Twitch employee who was playing as a minor, the fact is, if you knew this was a minor and you was like, hey, I'm still cool with it, you're guilty, point blank. Like there's like full stop on that situation. There's nothing else that we're talking about. I don't care if you got set up or not on some Chris Hansen stuff. They were trying to just catch you in something so they can get rid of you. If you knew it was a minor and you were still talking and things got inappropriate, you're guilty. I don't care.
Wait. Let me think I'm sure I understand this. You've seen arguments people are trying to defend him by saying that it was a setup, and So like when people say that type of stuff, I'm like, yo, y'all need to be banned too, because that says to me you have a very weird way of thinking. Because if somebody tries to set me up on that type of shit, I'm never going to be in that situation, period.
Of course
what the fuck
not.
are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like,
exactly.
if it doesn't matter at all.
Our good friend, the incel lord himself, Grums, is getting into it now. So this is why this is going down. Yep, this is why this is going down this rabbit hole. Because once certain people get into it, then they start defending and coming up with all these weird theories, and they got lawyers having conversations. They're saying, oh, this is confirmed, this is unconfirmed, this is a theory, this isn't a theory. I'm like, shut up! Like everybody just needs to chill out, shut up. Because we could just go on theories, night and day till you're blue in the face. But if Dr. Disrespect himself admitted it, then that's just it. Full stop. I don't care about anything else. Both sides can be guilty. It doesn't have to be fully on Dr. Disrespect in this situation. It's definitely on Twitch too. They're not out of the water for how they handled this situation, trying to sweep it under the rug. And that's the type of stuff that really makes me just lose trust in everybody. Like, it's in bad faith in this situation. I'm not saying that you had to fully out what happened, but again, it shouldn't have taken 4 years to get to this point. So they're going to keep coming up with theories. I don't care at this point. He admitted it, so it is what it is. If you knew it was a minor and you still talk and it got inappropriate, then that's just it. It is what it is.
I feel like it gets lost in this conversation too. I feel bad for his kids, and the wife. This is not once, but this man has cheated twice. And with a fucking minor, that we know of. Yeah. Like, that shit's embarrassing. And like, I seen a picture of his wife. She's pretty woman. I'm like, what the fuck are you? The fuck are you doing, dude?
In 2017, this man was wilding because that's when he cheated.
He was
on his
35,
wife.
dude. He was 35 years old at that
young
point.
Argument. No, I was 20. I was 19. I wasn't thinking about it.
You were still you were my age.
Right.
I stay out of stuff, but like, I remember people in the chat were asking me like, "Are you shocked that like Doc could do this?"
No,
and I'm like, all right, well, now that we know what he is, I'm gonna truly speak my mind and not be politically correct. No, I'm not shocked. This is a 40-year-old man who sits in a house with a Temu red vest and a wig. That was weird to me. Like, I didn't think it was funny. Like, I don't know. So I was like, it doesn't surprise me that he's into some weird shit. I was like, I gotta read between the lines here.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what happened in 2017, but again, other people were coming out saying like, hey, he was texting me. Someone in the LGBTQ community came out and was like, hey, like, I took a picture with him and we were sharing texts, and he was trying to, with the intention of me getting a partner on Twitch, and then, then he blocked me. I'm like, it's so many people that are coming out with again, their theories, whether you believe it or not. But again, the facts are, he admitted that he was whispering a minor. He did cheat on his wife, and he came out and cried as himself in 2017 and said, hey, I did it. I need to take some time off. And I was like, man, this is crazy, because I was like, not to laugh at this, but I was like, when this dude came back was when I had my Black History Month spot in 2018. This man came back on the same day and broke Twitch. And I was like one of the only few who was still like able to be live, but a lot of people couldn't be live in this situation. This man came back.
So you didn't get your viewership?
No, I did. Because I was live at the time.
One of the few still online.
Yeah, I was one of the few still on there. So I had like 10,000 people in my stream at that time, because I was on the front page. So I was lucky, but I was like, I wasn't expecting him to, make his comeback when I did my Black History Month stuff. But he did that. And then I was like, man, remember when I had an announcement for AMD? This man came out with this shit. I was like, bro, I can't win. I was like, this dude ain't on me.
I put in a group chat. I was like, did you have to tweet the AMD announcement today, man? Because I was like, the timeline kind of fucked up right now.
It was, because everybody was talking about this. So it is what it is. But like I said, I'm not surprised at this at all. I don't know how anybody can really defend this, especially after, he actually said it. So, I could understand, still wanting to see more information, because people are asking for the chat logs. Doesn't really matter. Like, how bad could it possibly get before you?
Don't say it's forged. It's called. They're just going to keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah, that's what
they want to defend him. That's really what it is.
They just need any excuse.
They don't care.
All that shit is true. It was nasty. Whatever he texted, you know how I know, because this man didn't care nothing about privacy or encryption. He didn't do it through iMessage, through WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat. This man was on the Twitch whispers. You're a nasty motherfucker, bro. Like, I've never had some of the weirdest messages I've ever had, and it's why I turned them back off in like 2014. Twitch whispers. I don't think I've ever gotten a normal message. It's always weird shit and harassment, bro.
It's always weird. Yeah,
and weird.
It is. It's JG, you just nailed it. It doesn't matter what is being said, because what Doc said is that's the best version of events, right? Because that's him saying it himself, is that I was sometimes maybe inappropriate with a minor. So that's the best it's gonna get. So I don't need to see what he said to someone who is a child as a 35-year-old married man with a kid. I don't need to see it. He said it himself. And then, we had Midnight Society, the game studio he's a part of, was like, yeah, and that was like super convincing for everyone who's normal, I guess, because they just straight up came out and said, look, we assumed he was innocent, and we did our own thing. We talked to involved parties, and we cut him off.
And then he tried to say that we did it amicably, which again is another that's another smoking
Master
mirror.
That was
manipulator.
not
It's
the
PR.
language they used.
It's PR, yeah. Robert Bolin said, he's like, bro,
He was
I ain't
very
messing with
clear.
nobody like that. Yeah, I'm like, this is coming from Robert Bolin. Actually, it's in this said, this is a statement from me personally. It does not reflect any of my companies and not going through any legal or PR approvals. If you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you, period.
That was my favorite statement of all of them because there were some other friends that was giving some roundabout answers. And like me, I do feel like a lot of times in the world we live in, people be ready to jump on somebody without seeing like some proper evidence and just cancel people and shit like that. I believe you should hear people out, but the motherfucker admitted to it. There are some things that are not black and white. It's fuck them. That's how I feel. Like that shit is weird to me.
Yep.
So I was like, shout out to Robert Bowler. I was like, hey, that's the exact answer I want to hear, not no other roundabout fucking half-ass answer. Nah.
Why is it being controversial to like not want to hang out with
We're
someone
pedophile.
who's
Now we was protecting the children. Like shit's crazy.
Mm-mm.
Freaking so I hope I saw YouTube demonetize him. I hope he's the fuck up out of here, bro. Y'all got to really start paying attention to who you support, man. I hope he doesn't come back and have a platform. That shit is
YouTube
gross.
was interesting too, though, because allegedly they knew about the situation with
word?
Twitch as well.
Oh, you read that at Reddit?
Yeah. No, they
found
more
that
stuff
too.
is coming, bro. It's so much stuff.
I stopped paying attention after that first day. I was like, that's enough for me. As someone who used to work with kids, I don't fuck with that shit. I don't even.
Yeah, so they kind of let them slide on that tip as well. They said they allegedly knew about it. So yeah, it's a lot out here. Like I said, we're not done. We're literally in the beginning of this arc. So
Yeah.
I think the last part, if it ever, I don't want it to, because like I said, I don't think I need any more information. But I think people are not going to stop until they find who the minor was.
They're gonna
Allegedly.
find their identity.
Yeah, once they find whoever this victim was, and then that's when this
That's gonna be
Man, I hope they leave
terrible.
that shit alone. Like, leave the kid alone.
I hope they
bro.
do too. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't need to know. I honestly don't need to know. Like, keep the person secret. Like, if that's truly it. If this other theory about Twitch faking, it being a minor is true, then that's, I mean, again, that's messed up. But if you knew it was a minor, then
You shouldn't fall for.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Like, just stop.
Fall for it,
Like,
man.
I don't. Like, you can't stop, bro. Like, you freaky. Like, if that's the type of stuff you want, bro. You want some.
And
other stuff,
I
bro.
wasn't surprised because, like, listen, like, cheating on your wife doesn't mean that you're into kids, right? But if you're willing to cheat on your wife who you have a child with, it does make me
Or a little crazy.
it makes me go, well, you're probably not the most morally upstanding husband in the world anyway. And I'd heard from women who were at Twitch during that time that he was trying really hard to get women to come to his hotel room. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a character he was playing. He really do be power tripping and shit like that. That's crazy.
Well, a lot of them are.
Yep.
A lot of people do,
A lot of
unfortunately.
them do.
Yeah.
It all stems from
We'll meet
playing
your
video games.
hero.
That's the
Hey,
crazy part.
don't put me in there.
Stems from playing video games. That is crazy.
Yeah.
In more lighthearted news.
Not really, but
I mean, it's more lighthearted than this shit.
yeah.
Gamers out here catching flights to catch fades. I'm not gonna play the video on stream for copyright reasons, but to explain the news story, apparently a man got into a beef with another man over funny enough, the MMO, which is it's called Arcade, I believe. So the funny thing about this story is, I guess they had some beef on the game. The man caught a flight from somewhere to Florida.
It was
Jersey
Jersey
to Florida.
Yeah.
And hit him in the head with a hammer or something like that. So he's being charged with a bunch of different stuff. They about to lock him up. But the crazy part about this story is, at least I even know this, the chat was telling me, apparently ArcAge's server shut down like a week after the game, after this whole situation had happened. So like, I think this man has some anger issues, and somebody said something to him on the game. What's going on, Jay? Why the gamers fighting the ArcAge MMOs, man? What's going on?
Hey man, fuck around and find out. This is another one of those situations. I really would love to know what conversations were had. Like, were these guys former friends and like he just got upset? Was this a random person who you met on the server? Like, I would love to know that, because like the fact that like he found his address or he got told his address, like, hey, because typical conversation is like, hey yo man, I'm gonna pull up on you. Where you at? And then the person like called their bluff. Was like, all right, I'm in blah 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 blah. And then he's like, all right, get the flight for real and pull up on you. They said this man snuck in. They say he went to Florida. He got a mask and a hammer, and then he pulled up. He snuck in his man's window and tried to get him.
How did he find his address? Oh, so he actually gave him his address? Like,
I don't know.
Did he dox him? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
everyone just calm down. Jesus Christ. Just,
you never played a game that made you that mad?
Stop it. No, to get on a flight and go like, someone up with a hammer?
That is crazy, man. Like, what are you going through life?
He's lucky that he only got a hammer because he could have got the hammer in Florida.
He
could have really got it in. It could have been bad. Like, at least a dude was trying to take you lightly, but still, you pulled up on him, like snuck into his house. Like that. This is a wild story. I just man. Like you really can't be telling people, talking shit online because they'll really pull up on you.
Stories like this, they're half funny, but then I also hate them because I feel like mainstream media will use see games make people violent. They're like, nah, that's not
government.
No one's getting violent over that.
Stop. Like he was playing Arcade. We already knew he was crazy. Like
I might take a flight for real though.
Play it different. This shit is crazy.
This guy.
And then the other crazy story I had for y'all. This one's a long one, but I read this whole one on stream. I'm calling him the P. Diddy of fucking gaming, bruh. There's a studio over in Poland. He was running a studio, and they're putting together.
No, I know what this is.
They're putting together. They're putting together some type of game that involves saunas. And there was a woman that applied to work at this studio, and she gets there and she finds out that it's company requirement to get into the sauna with the rest of the developers butt ass naked. And when she inquired about why do I need to get naked around y'all, the head of the studio said it's required so that it can improve the game. They needed it for inspiration. And one of the quotes that stuck out to me was he said something along the lines of they want to make a sauna video game where you can put together combos like Tony Hawk. And I'm like, what does that... I'm like, yo, there's times where I think things are blown out of proportion. And then I see stuff like this and I'm like, this is why it's important to listen to women too. Because I'm like, this is some nasty shit. What do you mean a combo in Tony?
What combo are you doing?
As a man, am I supposed to pull up and swing my dick and get 1,000,000 points in the sauna? Like, what are we? And how does that? What? First of all, this game sounds awful.
Maybe it's innocent, and you're just grabbing the water and putting it on the coals.
Yeah, maybe you're just splashing water or something. Yeah.
So she called him out on fucking LinkedIn and reported him. He's like, "Oh no, that's not what I meant. I thought it was supposed to. It was supposed to be like a company bonding thing, and it was supposed to help improve the gameplay." And I'm like, what happened to doing a
not if it's required to
a trust
be
fall
naked with your
I would give him a pass, if it wasn't required to be naked, to see, because he's like, oh, you need to see what's really like to be in a sauna. Okay, well, why does she need to be naked though? Yeah, what are we talking about?
A sauna at work, just the concept of a sauna sounds okay, right?
Yeah.
But a mandatory one, being butt ass naked, that's weird. What type of freaky stuff are you on, brother?
I'm sorry. Crazy. This game was even if you could wear clothes, this game was not gonna sell. Don't nobody want to play sauna Tony Hawk. What the fuck are you talking about? Am I supposed to spin in circles in the sauna and create a tornado? This was a goofy ass story, dude. Be careful out there. Shout out to the chick for reporting him too and calling it out, because apparently people was letting this shit slide. Nah. The moment I would have showed up, nah, I'm not doing that. You good, dog. And then the last story I got for y'all is apparently, so since Assassin's Creed Shadow was announced with Yasuke in it, all the go woke go broke people have been going crazy saying it's not historically accurate, which inspired a really funny video that I made about all the historical inaccuracies in that game. But it turns out a lot of the rage is fake. I mean, we knew it was grifters, but we got actual evidence. There was one story that came out. One dude was pretending on Twitter to be a professor in history at the University of Tokyo or something, and it came out that he wasn't. He was just some American, and they found his old username and old tweets, and they just found a bunch of other different evidence. I know JG, you watched the video. Dude went to Japan, asking different Japanese people what they thought about Yasuke, and they was like, we don't see the problem. We think it's cool. So I just think it's funny that like tweets are coming out with like actual evidence of people basically faking the outrage. I mean, we knew it. People using Google Translate to leave Japanese comments on the YouTube, but now we have actual evidence. Even the Twitter community notes have been getting them like, nah, this is fake. This is not a real person. What do you think inspires people to behave in this manner, Watts?
They must just be really bored. I don't know. I don't know how you can have I mean, I'm honestly jealous that they have that few worries in their life that they can go and pretend to be a Japanese person on the internet, going into Google Translate and typing their terrible Japanese to respond to stuff. I really don't know. I can only assume that it comes from a place of such intense hatred. And they feel some kind of camaraderie with other people that feel the same. That's so much work, man. Creating an entire persona and going into Google Translate to prove you're a professor of history. No, I don't know. I don't know what compels them to do that. I don't know how you can be that upset about it either. Why are you so? I don't get it.
Yeah, like it's getting to the point where like. To me, it's just straight up loser shit. Like, it's getting a little weird, guys. Like,
yeah.
You okay, bro? Like, you need a hug? You over there giggling. Jay, what you got to say?
For my son is on the call, I was like, man, like, again, I'm not surprised. and like the lengths that people go to like try to prove whatever point. I don't even know what is the true motive here. That's where I'm.
Well, they want Ubisoft to take Yasuke out of the game. I don't know.
Just go play Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I don't understand
every time. I bet the grifters like hop on something and they're like, "Hey, like I want to gather a certain amount of people and sign petitions and stuff." I'm just like, again, what is your motive here? What is the true end goal? Do you want them to shut down the game? Do you want them to take Yasuke out? Like, if you ask any one of them, they don't have a motive, and I'm like,
they don't.
Just admit you just don't like black people, because like let's just cut the shit. Like just say you don't like black people and you don't want Yasuke to be in the game. It's not your culture. It's not my culture. It's Japanese culture. And if actual Japanese people who are not pretending to be Japanese people are not upset about it, then how can you still say, hey, I'm going to be upset for you? Like that's
happens
not
all the time.
That's not the way that this should work.
You should be mad. You should be.
You can't yell at somebody and tell them what they should do or what feeling that they should have. Like to quote the great Reverend X, "Your thoughts ain't my thoughts." like you can't do this. This isn't work. That's why I'm just like there's a clear like disconnect here. It is like I hate it because every time I say it, it's like I don't want this to be a race thing. But again, the majority of the grifters are Caucasian, and I'm like, I don't know why y'all are so angry. Like, it's something in the air or something. Are y'all afraid, like, when the inevitable comes, that y'all are not going to be the majority in the U.S.? Like, I don't understand. I truly don't. I would love to know. Like, if somebody watches this podcast and like wants to have like an actual intellectual conversation, like, tell me why you mad. Like, can I be your therapist for a few minutes? Let's just talk and let's get your issue out. That's why you don't like niggas, bro. Because I don't get it.
And like, I hate to do this, but like, if you guys gonna grift, you guys got to get better at it too. Not only can we tell you're using Google Translate for the Japanese because the translations are just terrible. Another thing, the number 2 thing that I've seen in comment sections too, is they love to pretend to be black people. I literally just got a comment today on one of my videos, and he was like, well, understand, what if they made a character that took place in Africa that starred a bunch of white people? Well, I mean, I've done that plenty of times. There was literally
Resident Evil 5.
What was that movie about like the kings of Egypt like 10 years ago? I don't know if you remember.
White people.
It was all a bunch of white people. I was like, they do that shit all the fucking time. What are you talking about? But the dead giveaway was in that comment that I knew he wasn't black. He was like, imagine that. He was like, and this is coming from an African American. He's like, I see why people are upset. I don't know about y'all, but me personally, I've never met a black person that referred to themselves as African American.
I'm African American.
That's the dead giveaway. I was like, I don't know. I don't think you're black. But anyways, I think it's funny. Like, there's an article in the tweet right under the community notes that says this article isn't real. They're photoshopping articles. Like, this shit is fucking taking screenshots.
It's getting insane. And you know, this was the second person in that week who was exposed for pretending to be Japanese. There was another account that it was some American dude pretending to be a Japanese girl who had like a Sega account who just talked about Sega games and Sega news. Don't know why that happened.
Weird.
I don't get it. But I think it also comes back around to what we said about a lot of people don't actually play games and don't care about games. Because these people do not care about gaming at all. They always try and frame it like they did with Stellar Blade, that they care about the game and they want the game industry to be blah, blah, blah. They don't care about games. They don't talk about any of the actual issues that happen in games. It's always something like this.
They don't beat their games.
No.
They don't play them. I don't think
Don't play them.
Yeah.
You don't beat them. How am I gonna believe that you care? You really don't.
Yeah, it's getting really weird, man.
It's getting very weird.
They need to check
Too
themselves in.
political, man. You say keep the politics out of games, but look at what you're doing.
I will
Like
say,
you wouldn't do a petition if you didn't.
I'm happy that it's getting to the point where, like, I feel like when these woke bros first started popping up, they were kind of just running rampant, and people would kind of side eye them. But like people were just letting them like push their agendas. I do like that it's getting to a point where like I'm seeing a lot of people push back now. Like, bro, shut your dumb ass up, bro. I like the fight back, the push back. Like, bro, we got to get him the fuck up out of here, bro. This shit is getting annoying.
Well, they're also the people defending Dr. Disrespect. It's the same accounts.
Yeah,
It's the
they're
system.
they're in the same spaces. It's crazy, right?
It's
I'm like,
the
again,
system.
So I'm like, you want me to believe that you care about? Nah, I can't believe anything you say.
I don't know. what
They're
the
just trying to
solution is.
grift, make money, and gaming. Talking about gaming stuff is making them the most money now.
Get themselves some.
This story makes me so mad because it makes me want to support Ubisoft so bad, and like I don't really like them right now. But it's like I can't believe I'm rooting for this game to sell well.
right, just to stick it to them. It's like, all right, well, you didn't stop that, but let's move on to the next one. What else you got?
What's
the next story?
All right, guys, they're gonna meet in a Discord. We're gonna attack this tweet. Like, all right, bro. But yeah, that's all I got on my show notes. Do you have anything else y'all want to add to this show before we wrap up? Did I forget anything?
Go play Elden Ring. It's really good. I know a lot of people who do not generally like Souls games, and they love Elden Ring, and they're also loving the DLC. These are people who will gladly tell you they are not good at these games. So don't be intimidated by everyone saying it's super difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it
for your life.
Damn.
You can do it. Read the lore. The lore's good.
Wait. Because I was gonna toss it to you. I was gonna what? I was gonna say ladies first. What's your
Read the
closing
lore.
statement? Is that your closing statement?
Yeah, read the lore.
Read the lore.
Read the lore.
Read the lore.
Read
It
a
heightens your
book.
experience of the game. Read the lore.
Shit. Okay. Well, we appreciate it. Ethos, what's your closing statement for episode 157? Go.
3 words. Stop being racist. There you go.
Whoa, how dare you? That's crazy.
Stop being racist.
JG.
Don't be racist. Don't talk to kids.
Yeah, there you go, JG. That's yours.
What's your
All right,
closing statement?
And also, don't let anyone call you Mickey.
Cool. And my closing statement for the show is I'm $6 tier. Y'all just gotta accept I'm $6 tier. Matter of fact, if you made it to this part of the show,
man, not till you beat the final boss. Nope. You gotta see how long
so
it's
hold
gonna
up.
take.
So if I beat the final boss with no summons, no mimic tier, I'm $6. First,
No chicken, no chicken leg, no thorns.
I don't even like that weapon.
No chicken
anyway.
leg,
No shields either, actually, to
no
be
move
honest.
bill, no bleed bill. Let's do no bleed too.
Oh, now we're blocking all the weapons. Okay, I don't want to hear this shit.
I want you to hit with
Only
a regular
fists.
weapon. No
Oh.
perfume. No co-op. Don't even summon a friend to help you.
Let's see what I got to deal with. They moving the goalposts, just hating. They are just hating. Go play Shadow of the Erdtree. That's my closing statement. If you made it this far into the show, leave in the comment section hashtag read the lore. Other than that, we appreciate y'all for checking out the podcast. This has been episode 157, and we will see you on the next episode of the Game and Illuminati podcast. Peace.
Boy.